like to reconvene with the budget hearing by the parish government. Mr. Surface. I'm sorry.
Okay. I kind of want to go through, we didn't make a whole lot of amendments yesterday, but I kind of want to go through and show you where you stood with the BP fund and with gun reserve undesignated at this point before we get started. I'll let you know I take a step. If you look at your screen, basically what happens is when we talked about doing those 2017 proposed adjustments, if you look right there, it says 2017 proposed adjustments, and it was 6.4 million to 10 million. It was the $9 million that we put into that project originally. Actually, what we're going to have to do now is put that $6.3 million, because we used $2.7 million to help us balance the budget. We actually shifted that funding to the water and sewer fund. So what we're going to put back is $6.3 million. That leaves you $847,000 after you do the 2017 proposed adjustments. You throw in there the 2018 adjustments for the proposed budget, you come up with $3.3 million. We did one amendment, which took out the punitive damages. Now our balance is going to be $347,000 for 2018 in the BP fund. I just want to let y'all know that you really don't have any money left in there, and that's putting the $5 million, that we anticipate getting in. Now it is taking $5.5 million out to help balance the budget. So that if you make cuts, this is something you can adjust. If we go to the unreserved and designated, we did the ordinances for the Avalon taxes. And we did the one for the $3 million for the punitive damages, which does not affect unreserved and designated. The unreserved and designated now starting today would be $738,000. So I just kind of want to give you an overview of where we start. Did y'all want to start on where we left off yesterday? We're going to try to follow the agenda.
Councilor Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tommy, I just have one quick question.
Okay?
The sheet you gave us yesterday with the vacancies and the additional employees, it's orange, I can't find it, orange and pink.
Yes, ma'am.
That is all in the proposed 2018 budget, correct?
Correct.
As funded, all of that?
Yeah, I'll fund it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's see. We went through, we go down the line. We go to other government-related organizations. Go back to the gray pages in the expenses in the back. Pink tab. Expenditure, yes, sir. Page 6.
Pink.
The pink tab, yeah.
Red pages, right?
Page 6. It's gray page. Yeah, gray page is pink tab. Page 6. Should say, all the government-related organizations should be a department name. I think what most of this said, this is all membership. No.
We haven't heard that thing yet. Page 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In the gray.
Back. Comments from the table?
Good, okay. Next thing I have is judges. I think we have. Okay. We can go to the white pages on this because the judges are split between divisions. You go to page 16 of the white, Judge Division A.
Any comments from the table? Any comments from the table? We're on page 16, Judge Division A. Division A.
That's Judge Connor.
Yes, sir.
He said just leave it like it is, he's okay with it.
Yes, we had a conversation yesterday.
Administration, any comments? Move on. Next.
Page 18, Judge, Division A, Adult Drug Court.
Any comments from the table? Division A, page 18. Administration. Move on.
Page 19, Judge Division B, and Juvenile Division.
Comments from the table? You do? What's that?
I know the other judge had a 3% increase total. Is that the same for this one? I look at the bottom, that includes 3% salary increases for the merit increase?
Yes.
That's basically what it is?
Just for the council's information, we were historically receiving reimbursements for fins. And after 2017, last year with the cuts, those reimbursements have not been received.
Last year, when the council, sorry, is this on?
Go ahead.
Last year, when the council had removed the care center funding from Division B's fund budget, the Louisiana Supreme Court recommended that Judge Clement's office receive those funds directly. We report back to them, and those funds are specifically related to Dan's expenses under what's happening there.
And the criminal court fund has dwindled as well, so are y'all now paying expenses out of the criminal court fund?
We have, the court, meaning the judges and the DA, have looked at past budgets of expenses that were specifically related to criminal court processing, like the pettit jury fees, grand jury fees, transcripts, professional services. Those appropriate costs had been paid out of the criminal court fund according to the statute.
I mean, did they supplement anything that we cut?
They do.
The criminal court fund supplement anything that the council had cut in previous cuts, like we gave a 10% cut some time ago, did the criminal court fund pick that up?
The criminal court fund only picked up the appropriate costs that were then taken out of the judges' budgets, as moving those appropriate costs to that appropriate fund.
What would not be an appropriate expenditure out of a criminal court fund?
Anything not criminal court related. Criminal court fund is specific to criminal court expenses,
Right.
not civil. We can't use it for any type of civil related expenses.
My only question was that, I know we used to split the criminal court fund, we could always depend on 200,000 or so coming out of that criminal court fund. Now we don't see nowhere near that, so.
We've also seen the fines dwindle during the years. I think there's been somewhat of a...
Is that due to the diversion of the program?
I do not know.
I know we had this discussion some time ago about other agencies not seeing the same revenue coming from the writing of tickets. And we were told that the sheriff department didn't slack off on writing tickets. They still write the same amount of tickets, but the money doesn't go into those funds as distributed. It goes into the diversionary fund, which short circuits the funding of other agencies. But we can talk to other people about that.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't have that information.
Any other comments from the table? Administration?
Okay, next,
I'm sorry, Ms. Williams.
Well, actually, we moved on to juvenile, that's what my question is, the next page. Are we finishing with Division A? I mean, Okay, my
yeah, it's
question,
all together.
okay, well, my question is, I noticed that there's a 6% increase as far as personal services, so it's a 3% merit increase that we're providing, plus y'all are implementing an additional 3%?
And the personnel services were into...
Right, no, it's also got to do with insurance too, there's the insurance increase.
Okay. So there's none on Division A? No insurance increase, because theirs is only 3%.
Yeah, it should be the same, I mean, but, you know, I can look and see what the differences are on manpower, you know, there
I
could
was
be,
questioning if they were given.
could be vacancies and stuff like that too, you know.
We have not.
If they had a vacancy for part of the year or something like that, and we adjusted it in 17, and it would change.
Any other comments from the table? Administration? Next, please.
The next thing I have, the district attorney, I don't know what you see. Page 20.
Page 20 for district attorney's budget. Are there any questions? Are there any questions from the table?
Just the 26% increase on this one, on this page.
I'm sorry, what was it?
I'm looking at the bottom of the page.
26% increase. Do you have an idea where that comes from?
I think one of the line items was for professional fees. We had to up the legal fees because of pending legal issues we have.
With suing us?
Me? No.
You, but your department.
Yes.
So we got to fund the litigation for you building that you're suing us for.
No, we had a 10% cut last year, and now we're funding all the full salaries.
President?
Councilman Russo, you're correct, and thank you for your candor, Ms. Alexander, but there's a 573% increase that District Attorney Charles Valley is asking for to sue us with. I mean, that's really what's going on, 573% increase. And the total he's asking for another $32,250, which completely would wipe out the supposed somewhat cut that was received last year. But the 573% increase that's clear. We literally just give money that's going to be used and cause us to spend more money in response.
Let me ask you this, the $3,000 increase in plumbing, y'all got into...
We never had expenses before on plumbing. Obviously, the building we're in is having all kind of issues. So every time we have to call maintenance, if they come, if they have to change a pipe, whatever it is they have to do, that comes out of this budget, even though it's not our building. It is coming out of our budget.
Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, the parish doesn't maintain the building.
Any kind of maintenance, it's coming out of our budget all of a sudden. I don't approve invoices, Mr. Valley doesn't approve them, it's just coming out of our budget.
So it's something that the parish sends a commercial plumber outside of the workforce?
There may have been ones, yes, but even if they come and they change a pipe, the materials, we still get charged out of our budget for that.
If it's something for them, if you have this their building, we charge it back to
Councilman Black.
after the cost.
No, I was waiting for, I'll let Rochelle answer.
But I can answer it.
Tom.
Basically, what happens with maintenance, if maintenance goes out and their supplies, these are for materials, if their supplies or materials that they need to purchase, and it's for that particular building, and those charges go back to the department that is in that building. So, I mean, a lot, like even in our building, if maintenance comes out, they won't charge that to the maintenance department, they'll charge that to our building. They do the labor, but the materials get charged back to the department.
We do have lots of issues, though.
I would be supportive of reducing that line item to reduce the 573% increase. I think the district attorney would agree. If we can come to an agreement for the parish president to move forward with the construction of building 201, I think if that would happen, we could reduce the 573 and we could reduce the legal fees from general services and the administration. Is that something we can work out now, or do we want to continue in court? I would rather settle out of court and bill the district attorney the building.
That's, I did not file a lawsuit, Councilman Black. District Attorney Charles Valley did, so.
I mean, I think the district attorney would be willing to drop that if the president would agree to move forward on the building. I mean, is that something we can work out so we can reduce the budget, those two line items?
This administration has always been willing to try to work. I didn't file a lawsuit. It's in a litigation now, so that would be a question more fitting for District Attorney Charles Valley, who's asking for the money and not here today.
Well, in his defense, he did have meetings, that's why we asked to be here earlier this morning, but that didn't work out.
Okay, I would ask, before I vote on this particular budget item, is if the district attorney and the parish attorney can maybe have a conference, however short it may be, to discuss that proposal. It would save us quite a bit of money in legal fees. I think it's something that's needed, and if we can have a resolution, but I would like some type of answer, Mr. President, before the budget is voted to be adopted. Is that fine?
We've been, as I stated, we did not file litigation, so, and we're here to discuss. I just don't see the district attorney, so.
Nor do I say the parish attorney either, but that's the only point.
Ms. Williams, your comment?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Russell?
Yeah, a minute ago, I was talking about the criminal court fund and then also the diversionary fund. Y'all oversee funds down at the diversionary fund, is that correct?
We do, yes.
And you know what the balance of that might be?
I do not. I know Mr. Valley made some kind of spreadsheet or something and had meetings, I believe maybe last Monday or yesterday, but I wasn't part of that, I don't know the info.
And do you know what those funds are used for?
For the diversion fund? I mean, I know we have some diversion expenses. Not 100%, no.
Is it money maker?
No, because of the LACE program. It actually sometimes, the last quite a few years, we've been in the red. We pay out more than what is coming in because of the LACE program,
Thank you.
or due to the LACE program.
Any other question on the table? Administration? Thank you. Next, please.
Page 22, DA domestic violence.
That's me.
You want comment?
That pretty much stayed the same.
Question for the table? Administration. Next, thank you, please.
Need the clerk of court. Next one will be page 24, city and ward court.
That's the salary.
These are the JPs and the constables.
Yes, and I spoke to Mr. Davey about this. He said, yeah, he wanted him to come, he would come by, but he said he was fine with just $4,000 decrease.
Question from the table, comments from the table. Administration. Next item, please.
Page 25, assessor.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. There.
We were asking for just about the same as last year, a little bit of an increase. Some of that is due to a contract that began last year in the spring, and you all cut our budget last year to exactly what we had spent the prior year. So that didn't include those 3 or 4 months of that maintenance or for backing up our system, our software, which is critical to what we do. So that's part of the increase, and all of our computers are aging, and so we have a little bit in there for that, but not a big difference.
Do you pay the port to fly the helicopter over the assessments? Because we saw a diagram earlier this morning that listed you in there as a cost, but I don't know if you paid them or you didn't pay them.
We utilized the port on January 1st to take photographs of watercraft. I thought we did that by boat. I didn't know we did that by helicopter. We are also going to...
It might be by boat.
Okay, it's by boat. We are also planning to ask them to take us on one of their runs down the river because we're going to take photographs of the river docks this year. That's one of the projects we're going to focus on. I have asked what we've done with them in the past. I don't know that I know the answer to that. And I think we may reimburse them for fuel, but we don't pay them in any way.
Any other comments from the table? Administration. Thank you. Move next item, please.
Page 26 starts the sheriff's department.
Sheriff. Come, he's up.
Yeah, we have a couple copies we made for you guys, showing y'all some of the breakdowns of what y'all paid in years past and what's still outstanding and what it costs to run a jail. So, and we also did it as a prorated rate for just Plaquemine Parish inmates. So we have the total cost plus the prorated rate. I think the 15% occupancy of the prison is being filled by Plaquemine Parish detainees.
Do we have a specific, we have several items under the sheriff listed. Do we need to take them separate? John,
Yes, sir?
do we need to take those separate?
Each page?
Yeah.
We can do each page separate.
Because you have several items, and I don't know how it relates to the sheriff is concerned.
Yeah, I can give him I think I have.
Yeah, this is the first time we actually have seen this, so obviously we're going to have some concerns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns under general, page 26, division 2120, general? Do you have a copy of the budget?
Yeah, I do.
The page?
This is the first time I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. You must have stay okay. Monica up here, Monica's,
Sure, that's fine.
and we kind of work on this together, so.
Okay, do you want to address that by item, by page? Or, what do you want?
Yeah, I think what we basically did is lump the whole thing together, John.
All right.
So. Yeah, we're okay with page 26.
So it's no problem, 26. Anybody have any comments from the table? Administration? Okay. What about page 27?
Same thing.
No problem? You have it, no problem? Table? Administration? Move to the next page, please. 28?
Yeah, this is fine also.
Okay, table? Administration? Move to the next page, 29, please.
Okay, yeah, so this is basically what we've been going over, is just some of this.
All right.
Everything else.
Well, let's go, you're gonna deal with 29, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it looks like y'all budgeted for 2017, 730,000, and I prepared a cost of what it cost us to run that prison. If y'all can look at some of y'all handouts, if y'all could. But just the healthcare alone, for the first 100 inmates, that's all they'll give us a quote on, is $381,000. So what y'all budgeting don't even take care of the healthcare for the inmates. And I'm gonna tell you, we've done our due diligence. We went in and negotiated every contract that we had. As you can see, the food, I'm feeding the inmates at 98 cents a meal. That's unheard of. I talked to multiple people that can't even touch it for over $1. So that's $83,000. The daily operations, and all this is prorated for our Plaquemine Parish inmates. But that's $280,000. That includes all utilities, uniform, bedding, recreation items, janitorial, laundry, security system maintenance, maintenance to software, everything. And again, it's all prorated for you guys. The total was $744,000. I think last year, Councilman Black, he's pretty familiar with some of the law enforcement costs of inmates. We negotiated a per diem at $26 a day times 77 inmates times 365, which that's how we got to that number, 730,000. I think you can't house them any cheaper than that. And then you have the transportation, of course, security issues. If you throw that on top of the $744,000, it gets quite significant that y'all still falling short of what is required.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Black?
Yeah, Sheriff, let's take this separately. I don't want to throw in court, house security yet, but let's do this. We did negotiate this last year.
Right.
This was based on regional rates for prisons throughout the region. And we discussed whether it be healthcare, transportation, etc., and put it all into one per diem rate. And the per diem rate was actually below the average per diem rate regionally, is what this council agreed on last year, which was $26 a day. If you charge $26 a day, and the amount of parish inmates fluctuates anywhere between 70 and 90, maybe even up to 100 a day. If you basically take the average of 80 inmates, parish inmates that we're responsible for, the government's responsible for, you multiply that by the 365 times the 26 per day, it gives us the 759. Last year, we did 730,500, which is around 77 inmates a day on average. So if we stick at the 77, which is probably below average of parish prisons that you guys have, and stay with the $26 rate, I think where the confusion comes in, I think, is in the building system. And I discussed this with the finance department. As opposed to doing itemized bills, if we just bill it based on a per diem rate on an average prisoner per day at 77, and pay that out quarterly or monthly, however you guys decide to do it. I think that alleviates the problem in regards to being short, because they're just getting the bills on the separate itemized issues. Is that something, Tommy, that you recommend, or would it be easier to do that way? If we just assume the responsibility of the 77,
I mean, we could do it that way. I think where the issue comes in, it's always been, the issue is the bills for the jail. I mean, it's always been a question whether we should pay it or not. It's not us questioning that, but it's, those bills always been questioned and we'll put on the side, so I don't know.
Yeah, the question, so I mean, right now, this council last year, there were no questions. Those were alleviated unless the administration was questioning it now, and that's why you guys proposed a reduction. If that's the case, well, no, we need to debate that. But as far as my appreciation is, there is no debate onto the responsibility from the council, and I'm just speaking for myself, but for my assumption, that there's no debate on what the council's responsibility from PPG standpoint is on providing housing for the prisoners. And I don't think there's any debate from the sheriff's office either, because they're asking for $26 a day, which is $730,000 a year. The proposal came in at $400,000, so I guess the question is are you guys debating that, or are you guys comfortable with the legality of this government's responsible if this is the number we're going to come up with? Because if it is, then we could probably move on relatively quickly and just amend this budget.
Councilman Black, I want to compliment Sheriff Tulich for the fine job he does. I presented a balanced budget, and so if you start going through, for example, we've got, we proposed $425,000 in the 2018 budget, and that's because we ran short of revenues. If we turn back to page 20, just as a preliminary marker, you got a $32,250 increase right there that I'm sure if you'd love to make the amendment, take that increase away and move that over here. Just to start going through.
With all due respect, Mr. President, this isn't a battle between us, you, and the district attorney. This is about housing parish inmates and the responsibility this parish government is burdened with. But we do owe the sheriff's department, who runs that facility and who maintains the housing and care for those prisoners, those funds. And those funds are not based on some arbitrary number. They're based on discussions that I personally had with the U.S. Attorney, with multiple sheriffs in the region, with other council members from other districts about how they come up with those numbers. So it is a scientific equation that we came up with these numbers. It's not something just arbitrary. So we've already passed by the district attorney's budget. I'm not worried about the $20,000 he's trying to get to sue you. I'm talking about the $300,000 shortfall we have in the responsibility of providing adequate housing, medical, food for the 77 parish prisoners that we have on average every day. That's all.
And with all due respect, Councilman Black, I love to try to assist, and that's why, though, this is a budget hearing. And so there's not enough money to go around, and so I'm more than glad to start, I just found $32,250 that we can move, and I'm more than willing to start looking at some other budgets where we can transfer monies. I'm not going to get into the vagaries and nuances, of constitutional duties, and this isn't the time and place for that. But all I request is that if you want to move more money, and I'm fine with that, to help out the sheriff's office, let's go through and let's start talking exactly where we're going to get the money from. Because Mr. Sir has did a fine job of presenting a balanced budget, and let's like I said, I just identified is over 32,000 we can move. Let's handle it that way.
And I don't disagree that Tommy did not do a good job. Tommy did a great job, and so did Rochelle and that staff. The problem is, they left this council short $300,000. Yeah, you budget, you set us a budget, but you also put in, quite a few different personnel over the current operating posture that we're in, which was about $650,000. So we want to take 300,000 out of that, that's fine. But I mean, this is, what they do is a manipulation of numbers. I mean, that's obvious. Then the council comes here, and the council takes money from different sources to fund what actually needs to be funded. I personally think that we have a responsibility to fund this fully. I think the sheriff, from speaking with him, and his staff, have taken a lot of different measures to reduce that amount and give us the rock bottom rate that they can give us, which is $26 a day per diem, which is well below the regional average. If he was to say we're shutting the doors, send the prisoners somewhere else, it would cost us $32, $35, $36 a day. So I commend him for that and his staff for that. So we need to find the $300,000 somewhere. And I think at the end of the day, that's where we're going to be. But I'm going to separate that from the courthouse security, that's another issue, and that's going to be another debate.
Mr. Sherman?
I can tell you basically how the $425,000 came up. Of course, we always have to go back and try to find money from everywhere. We looked at what the 2016 actual was. You're going to see that in almost every budget. We tried to cut the budgets back to what the 2016 actual was. 2016 actual for that division was $419,000. We cut it back to $425,000.
Yeah, and I can remember that specific budget hearing. It was a former sheriff who provided us with a loose leaf piece of paper and said this will be done. So I'm not going to get into the political debate on it, but that's what that
I'm
actually
just telling you
came.
how we came up with that, and
Right.
if it needs to be raised, well, that's fine, we're doing the amendment
Okay.
for it, we'll find the money.
Okay, put the amendment under my name. I have no problem with that.
Not only that, let me chime in if I can. The prison was just opened up in February 2015. We actually worked really hard to cut all of the expenses that the parish is currently experiencing. I mean, so if you look at some of the previous years, what wasn't reimbursed or what wasn't paid out to us, we have that as a receivable in our audit that we have a problem with. But you don't see us up here nitpicking, trying to collect $500,000 or whatever it may be. We're trying to help you guys out, eliminating expenses. You give us $730,000, we're going to stay within that budget, and we're not going to go over it. But as you can see, I gave, did y'all get, okay. It costs roughly $1 million to run. That's prorated for Plaquemine Parish. So I understand the legality and all that, and, you know, your side of you, our side of you, I mean, obviously it's different, but I think it's pretty fair in what we're doing.
Williams?
Yeah, my only question, and I want to commend the sheriff and his staff on doing a great job. My question would be, the actuals for 2017, at the time this book was printed, is we've received y'all expended $304,358. Do y'all have invoices into us that have not been paid? Do you have an estimate on that amount? Oh, it's in the paperwork?
It's broken down by budget year for you on that
Okay, okay.
And it tells you how much you budgeted for, how much was paid, and how much is pending. On the very bottom of the first page is a copy of all 3 years since the prison opened.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, with the budget amount for 2017, any idea why that funding has not been released to the sheriff's office?
I don't have any invoices that I'm holding, I mean, they never came to me yet, so.
We send them to Crystal Taylor, is who they're addressed to.
Yeah, now they
We
could be
never
sitting,
get feedback.
right, they could be sitting in the director's office, but, right, when they get in our office, we cut the check, when they approve, so. I'm not sure where they are, I mean, I can look at it when we go back to the office.
Mr. President?
And to reiterate, Sheriff Tillage, your office has always been very helpful and collaborative with us. And this number, my administration doesn't have a problem with that number going up. We just need to start, like I said, Councilman Black, would you offer an amendment on to start the $32,250? I mean, it's just a matter of going in through and crunching the numbers, that's all. We don't have any opposition to this number going up, so.
Councilman Lapine?
Thank you, Sheriff. Tommy, I guess my question is, he proposed it's $730,000 for 2017, and then we dropped him to in 2018 to $420,000.
So if we kept him about 600,000, just hypothetically, so that's another 200,000 he needs right there, correct? All right. He's not even close to what his 730, but we have to. So if we make the amendment on the district attorney, I said, well, that's a great idea. Well, let's go to page 40 and make amendment in the legal services general, and their budget for 2018 is 31% higher than their, and just giving them the original budget of 2017 is 655. So that's 200,000 right there, I found. So we're not cutting the legal services, we just give them the same budget we gave in 2017. Which if we try to say that to the sheriff, we're not even giving him the same amount, but we're getting $200,000 from the legal services. So we can make amendments there too. So I can find $200,000 very quickly that can be transferred to the sheriff's office. So if we want to play like that, we can play these games. But the sheriff's here sitting and telling us what he needs, and this is an insult to what we did to him.
Councilman Rochelle?
Yeah, Sheriff, I didn't insult you, because I ain't got to you yet.
Thank you.
Some people might insult you. But, let me understand this budget. The budget that you're giving us is $26 or something per prisoner per day, based on parish prisons only. Now, we're not being asked to fund the prison itself,
No.
correct? You're gonna handle that with your millage and your law enforcement district, that your agency created to do all that.
Yes.
So, we won't be paying for mattresses, we won't be paying for any of that.
It's all prorated, Benny. That's a good question, and it's all prorated. If y'all look at one of y'all pages, you'll see actuals on the whole facility, and then you'll see it prorated to accommodate the Blackman Parish. So if you see it, here it is right here. I mean, it's 15% basically is what it
If
is.
you're willing to go to 7, the court went to 6.
Hey, if I can help, look, we can do everything we can to help you guys. But the per diem rate, it's solid. I think when our inmates were over at NOPD and Jefferson Parish, at one point it was $33. Then I think it got reduced to $26. Plus we were paying for our guards over there. So I think it's a fair rate, and I think it's one that you guys can live with and we can live with it. We're going to stay within budget.
What does the state pay you?
$24.39 a day.
You can't live with $24.39?
What's the number on that, like 685?
Whatever it is.
Something. Believe me, I didn't crunch the number because I knew, I know you guys are hurting. And we were hurting. I mean, we walked in the door to a $2.5 million deficit when I got out of the previous administration's audit. So I know what it's like to try to find money. But what you can see, we done backflips trying to get this prison up and running. Very difficult.
Sheriff, we run into
I know.
millions
I
of dollars in the budget.
But we can leave it up to discussion. I don't know what that rate would be, $24.39. Let me talk to my staff and see if there's more cutting we can do. But
Well, can we go ahead on?
we also, now another thing, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, go ahead. Another thing we do also is to try to help supplement the parish is we try to take care of the grass cutting. I mean, there's multiple things that we try to do for the parish to help supplement some of these wages. As you see, I think we signed an agreement to cut the grass from Chevron to the parish line to free other work crews to go cut elsewhere. And that was at a request, I think with some discussion with you guys. So we do use DOC as labor for the grass cutting with trustees. And again, all of that to help the parish, guess what that does? That increases the liability on the sheriff's office in my building to get contraband in there, to get possibly weapons in there. So some of the things and the services that I'm providing for the parish greatly affects our liability and the safety of our facility.
But it also makes you look very good.
Thank you.
People like to see your men working, cutting grass, so you get a great benefit from that kind of grass.
We do what we can.
Councilman Black?
Give them the money.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, you mentioned grass cutting and some other services. We have current up-to-date CEAs in place now between the sheriff's office and PPG?
For the grass cutting. I think,
Not for the 26,000.
Yeah, not for the $26 a day per diem, but we do have it for the grass cutting. I
Okay.
think it might expire in 2020 maybe.
All right, what about courthouse security? Do we have a CEA?
Yeah, it's, I think it's kind of gentleman's agreement.
Okay, we gotta get rid of that.
Yes.
We do have MOU
We have that one here?
for courthouse security.
For the courthouse security, we have MOU.
Yes, you finished?
Yeah, I'm gonna do an amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Before
Not now, but
Before you do that, it's just a suggestion. If possible, we can go to 24 for 3/4 of the year, and the last quarter, we put the rest of the money to make the 26 that you're looking for. To budget the $24 for 3/4 of the year.
2139, the same.
Yeah. And then come back and fill out the balance of that at the fourth quarter, give you the money, all before then. No, we hopefully to get the monies that was owed to us coming in. And that'd be a strain of all of a sudden, but we do, we have to pay that money. If that's possible. If not, then we have to, do what we have to do.
2439 is 685,000.
Yeah, but that's only for 3.
Yeah, well, that's just, that's.
The balance we have to pay with the 4x4 quarter.
We got standing debts now that we haven't paid.
Well, you're gonna cut some money, you have to spend it no matter what. But I'm just trying to see if we can accommodate to help him continue with his budget at the present time, by appropriating this money and come back at the end to finish it up.
I think we can.
But if not,
No, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. I think that could be a solution. And in the last quarter, you're saying go to 26
yeah,
and make up some of the.
make up the rest of it for
Okay.
4, without the balance.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't understand that. So, tell me now. You're gonna,
So you're gonna pay it quarterly at 2439 a day times 77.
right,
So it'll break up to 685 in the 3/4, and then the last quarter, we'll bump it up to 26.
right, from that quarter forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand that.
okay. Okay, and we'll still bill monthly. I think,
All right, Councilman Black,
Yeah, you want the numbers? I mean, if you guys are fine with that, we could, I'll do an amendment for that one. It's, I mean, it's basically 667,000, this is around about the time you can get you the actuals. 667,000 for the first 3 quarters, and then another 182, but that's, Tommy can figure out the numbers, but I mean, it's a total amount, and
That's a lot more than he's
it's
asking.
not, I also said, that, it's not an accurate number, let Tommy do the number. It was all
Tommy, go ahead.
First 3 quarters was,
First 3 quarters they want to do, so that's 273 days, 273.75 days,
how much?
right? So divide 365 by 4, and what's that number, 9125?
Yeah,
9125 times 3,
okay.
times 77, times 2439.
All I have to do is take the
What's that number?
amount that was asking, 4,744,000 divided by 4.
What is it?
And that's what it is.
110.
Okay, 514, 110, and then do 9125, 91.25 times 26 times 77. 9125 times 26 times 77.
Change the 744,000 divided by 4, and then you give it
27,000.
Well, you pay,
What is it?
Say again?
9125
but that would be paid.
Times 26.
That would be if you
times 77.
If you pay 26 the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't bring that up.
Okay, 9125
26.
times 26, that's the 30 rate, times 77.
182, 682.
Okay, 182, 682,
And then the
plus 514, 110.
696, say $40,000.
What is it, Tommy?
697.
696, $792.
I need a calculator.
700,000.
Well, no, we don't want to do that because we want to we have a per diem rate. If we sub round them off, then we come up with this arbitrary number. 696, 792.
Mr. President,
When you're counting them like without due respect, you're using an arbitrary number by saying 77, because the rate varies.
That's an average. It's an average of it.
That's an arbitrary number, just keep the record clear.
Then you will figure it out. Because you just figured out $400,000 for the year for 77 prisoners on average at $26 a day. So I'll let you go ahead and do it. But you did it, you gave a $300,000 short. But
John, how much y'all figure out?
271,792.
So,
How much?
271,792.
That's what the increase is gonna be. We're gonna increase his budget to 375
Yeah,
by 271,792.
to what we already have in place.
375,000. $646,792 would be the new total.
626, 792.
where does that number come from?
I got 696.
I have 696, 792.
Yeah, I got 696.
yes,
Okay, my old calculator is, I'm reaching to
Facebook.
I'm reaching.
But you got 696, what do you say?
696,792.
96.
Basically, it looks like it's 275,000 more than what y'all proposed right now. And it's basically $30,000 less than y'all proposed last year. But like I said, we have multiple invoices that need to be paid that y'all budgeted last year. And the 2 years prior, that y'all can see that.
Do you want to vote on this now?
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on this now? or-
Wait for the rest of it.
I mean, we can wait.
Because I can print it now, it's up to you.
We gotta find the source. I mean, Mr. Lapine suggested a source, but I'm not sure if it's enough.
yeah, it is.
It is? Legal services, and then,
You don't know what else we're taking out of that?
the DA?
But we got several other amendments too, I mean, if y'all wanna,
Yeah, right.
wait and do them.
That's what I'm saying, I don't believe we should wait.
All right, that's good.
But we gotta go, I mean, if everybody's found them, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest going to courthouse security, that's the next biggest issue, on the sheriff.
Yeah, that's
That's
next.
fine.
We got a couple more pages for the sheriff, though.
All right.
He's good to go with the rest of them.
Page 30, juvenile.
Sheriff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking, what did y'all budget, what page is that?
30. Juvenile.
Juvenile, budget to 30,000.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be sufficient.
31. Everybody question at the table? Staff, okay, 31, please. Tax collection.
This is something we need. Utilities.
Yeah.
For the lockups.
This
Yeah, we're good with that.
Good with that? Increase of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do this.
All right, next page, 32.
Yeah, we're good with that.
Page 33. Courthouse security.
Is 60,000 the amount you're proposing?
Johnny? Yes.
Yeah, we already had 71 for the year, this year, and we still have months. left of that. It really just depends on the judge's schedule for courthouse security. Honestly, it would alleviate a lot of headaches for me if we didn't have courthouse security, you know. But, you know, we'll handle it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilman Black?
And this kind of towards you, Shane, and legal. Did we ever resolve the issue on the employee? I mean, so that's one of the things, you know, we have salaries and wages here, which is pretty much the entire courthouse security budget, $60,000. Now that's, you know, health insurance, whatever, but we don't have an employee. I mean, I don't know if we do have an employee or we don't have an employee, because we need more than one person. So what's happening is, this is kind of a strange budget, because salaries and wages, and then we have taxes, insurance, which leads me to believe that this is a one full-time employee. So that's the only line item for courthouse security. So what the sheriff's office is doing, in my assumption, is they have a schedule with multiple deputies toward a detail rate. And I think they negotiated a pretty generous rate, which is below the normal detail rate of $30 an hour. I think you guys negotiated $25 an hour. The problem is where is that money budgeted? So we're not paying them because we don't even have an appropriation for the off-duty services. This position is just really a parish employee as a supervisor, as a scheduler. So I'm not even sure, I haven't seen the CEA, because honestly I'm washing my hands of it because this has been a joke for the last 2 years. But I do want to make sure we get the budget right, because all we're doing here on this page is appropriating funds for a parish employee. We're not appropriating any funds for any other employees that are required to provide courthouse security, which, you know, that is a constitutional requirement. So I would ask, Mr.
Councilman Burke and Councilman Lucero?
What's the $60,000 proposed for professional service?
Right below.
That's the sheriff's office employees again.
That's the per diem.
But that's $60,000, you know, different, that to me, because we have 2 courthouses, we're gonna have 3, we're gonna get rid of one, another one comes online, but we have 2 courthouses, and I'm not sure what the, I'm not sure exactly who it was, but I guess the Supreme Court made a decision on how many guards are needed at each one. I'm not sure if that covers it. I mean, we're only through November, and it's over 70-something thousand. So we don't have any appropriation for those funds, is my point.
Well, we have 60,000 there.
I know, but it's well
short.
That's only one person we're paying.
Yeah, one.
One. Not in the budget. Only one.
We pay for one up here in financial personal services, but we're paying below that by the hour out of the 60,000. You got the 49,000 for the salary at the top.
Right.
And then professional services, courthouse security at the bottom, that's another 60,000, we're total of 109.
But that only equates to probably one additional off-duty personnel, because they get paid $25 an hour now. You're not including, you know, insurance and retirement and those things. But $25 an hour, and they're probably working, that one person, at least 40 hours a week, I would imagine.
That bounce around.
Y'all did a great job with the budget you had. Y'all doing a great job with this budget you got. Do we owe you any extra money?
Right now, are we owed?
Like 5 or 10,000?
We're not owed on courtroom security, those get paid very quickly, very regularly.
Right, so I mean, that seems to be working out. The problem you got is the CEA?
And the problem is, to date, from January 1 of 17 to today, we've already expended 71,000.
Right, and you
So-
got 60,000 budgeted, so we're 11 short.
And
Well, we're not finished the year, we still have one more month to
So
go.
it'd probably be close to 80,000, 77, I would guess.
But
I
how,
would say the courthouse security, it's, you know, if we didn't have it, I'd be happy we didn't have it. to be honest with you. And y'all got security guards, and y'all line up however y'all want. I mean, really, it causes headaches for me. So if y'all wanted to explore that option with security guards, I'm all for it.
You the commissioner?
No.
Well, I got to get a copy of your gun.
I know, but well, that's what I'm saying. So I think it's a very valid point, talking with the judge's staff and all that. I think they like to have a commissioned officer there, but I mean, it does put a strain on our budget. It puts a strain on some scheduling. It puts a strain on a few different things, to be honest with you.
Councilman Gino?
Sure. Sure. What about the constables that's getting paid that don't do anything? Can't we use them as guards at the courthouse? If we can work out some kind of deal?
Yeah, y'all welcome to.
Well, I'm saying.
They're not. We don't. They have to go through training, and I mean, if you want
Are they
them.
commissioned?
If you want them post-certified, which gives them the tactical training and the professional training that they really should require for that, I think it would be mandatory to go through the academy.
Would it be dangerous for some of them to have a badge and a gun?
Probably so. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good option, no, Mr.
Any comments from the table?
Yeah, and also the judge's personnel is certified too, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The judge's personnel are also certified, so they can help us with some of that.
So now what we have to decide, what we looking for? The money?
No,
Where we're gonna take it from? Give the sheriff what we owe him?
well, it's in the power, the rest of them, the 200, the 40,000 or whatever.
Do we have the amendment prepared for it?
For courthouse security?
Well, his original budget
We
for
can
the
go-
prisoners,
How much y'all wanna, put in there? I mean, we had 60,000 now, we're 75,000 in 2017.
That'd be very close.
Wanna go back
That'd
to
be very
15?
close, yeah.
About 15,000?
That'd be very close. It probably short us just a little bit, but that's fine.
Take a holiday.
We will. Make enough,
anything else, Sheriff? Administration, anything else for Sheriff?
That's the last one.
Any comments from the table? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, all appreciate it.
Next, please.
All right, next thing is corner.
Coroner's in the house. I think a couple of us. I don't think that's a good idea.
Hey, you can work the courthouse.
Yeah, no.
Every time I see Freddie Yosh, it don't make me want to vote for him.
About page 34. Item page 34.
That tells me you can get 100,000 real quick. Over in the budget. Yes.
Well, giving you all just a summary of the activity we've done this year so far, this year to date. You notice we did have an increase in deaths and an increase in use of autopsy facility.
You have any questions concerning the budget that we have proposed for you? You agree with the budget? Anybody from the table have any questions? Administration? Thank you, sir. Next item, please.
Page 35, Parish President.
All right, back president, page 30, 35, and 6. Comments from the table? Questions? Mr. Williams? Mr. Burke?
Yeah, 532.001,
Professional service.
professional services.
Say it again, Charlie.
532.001, professional services general, 200% increase. Any idea what that is?
Through the course of this year, this budget is to follow in the sheriff's footsteps, much smaller than it has been in past prior years. And I'm not talking about the years since we've been in financial trouble in 16, 17, 15. But throughout the year, there are numerous and various things that arise, and that's what this amount would be. And if you notice, I have a 3% decrease, and I'm a little looking at, well, I'll leave it at that.
So there's no explanation of what it's for?
Would be for professional services that may come in event of various, whether it's consulting or whether it's things that can arise during the course of the year in parish business. As you're well aware, we're responsible for numerous things, whether it's water, whether it's recreation, whether it's sewer, whether it's engineering. So in the course of running Plaquemines Parish, $15,000 is quite de minimis compared to other districts.
Any other comments, Terry?
You can tell us what was spent in 2017 was $1,425. It might give us an idea where that money was going. You have an idea what that was spent on?
2016.
Correct. You get an idea what we spent this year.
But that was since the council, this council, and we're the only parish that doesn't have full-time directors. I think some of that money went to pay someone to help oversee the books, who served as a consultant as a part-time, not a director of administration, but helped do some of the duties that a director of administration would do.
This is Jim Peoples.
That would be my appreciation.
So, is your intention to appoint him to a director?
Yes, Mr. Peoples is a certified public accountant, long-time internal auditor. I feel like the parish as a whole would benefit from having another CPA on board who has the vast experience with parish government that Mr. Peoples would have. But at this time, he's not interested in a $36,000 a year position, as would anyone who has a CPA.
We've heard that story many times, but the point is that you need the $15,000 to pay him if you're gonna hire him.
And I would revert back to my prior question, is that in the course of a year, nobody has a crystal ball, and this amount is quite small as to what can come up during the course of a year. No one's an expert in everything, and the parish has numerous issues that arise, and sometimes we have the capacity in-house to do it. I mean, again, to put it in perspective, I'm not asking for, the consulting or professional services type amounts that other districts are requesting, but it's good to have a little, just in case, given the numerous responsibilities and services that PVG has to provide to people.
And the reason I bring this up is because all year long, we hear things that are going on in the administration, and it causes a rift among council members as to, I heard this was on the payroll, I heard this one's got a contract, and it gives us headaches not knowing what's going on and where it's coming from. And it leads to a lot of dissension in the government. So if we kind of know what this was going for, you know, we'd be prepared for it. So that's why I bring up the issue. And I agree, 15,000 is not a whole lot of money in the scheme of this operational government. But if you're paying Mr. Peoples from there down, and you're hiring or you get your directors, I was just questioning, you know, who would be next.
Chair?
Councilman Black?
Yeah, on page 36, what is, on behalf of Ms. Williams and myself, I would like to get an explanation of other charges, special promotion. That's an increase there, we budgeted last year, 59. Proposed, no. On page 36. What do we got here?
It was zero budgeted last year.
Okay, but 1,500.
1,500 was budgeted, 0 was spent.
What are we budgeting now? What is that?
1,500.
My question is on page 40.
I'm just seeing if we're grouping all this together. I saw the consultants accounting as well, like 3840, professional services 1425. It's minimal, we're not worried about it. Unless Ms. Williams has an issue.
No, my question was on page 40, I'm sorry, we're not there yet.
Any other comments? Table. Administration. Next item, please.
Page 37, Director of Administration.
Page 37. Williams.
Yes, so based on this proposed budget, salaries for the Director of Administration is being proposed at $133,420.
That is with his secretary. With the secretary.
Oh, okay.
Any other comments? Administration. Next item, please.
Page 38, Director of Public Service.
Any comments from the table? Administration. Next item, please.
Page 39, Director of Operations.
Page 39, any comments from the table?
I have one question.
Mr. Burke.
What's the insurance, employee surety bond?
What I understand, that's, there's a surety bond on each one of the directors, and the past president has one also. I think, I'm not sure exactly why, but they all have one, have a surety bond on $400. We have to ask Human Resources, you know, what's the purpose of it, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's, I guess it's just to cover for its liability purpose, I'm not sure.
It's bonding, some kind of bonding insurance.
Yes, that's what it is, surety bond, yes.
Any other comments from the table? Administration. Next item, please.
The next thing I have is legal services for Ms. Borghese.
He's on his way. He's en route.
So let's,
Pass over that.
pass over that one. Legal judges is the next one too, you can pass over that too, he can cover that. The next budget I have is for public awareness, page 43.
Table, do I have comments from the table? Mr. Councilman Lapine.
I guess I'm trying to find out, 2017 actual budget was $54,000, we've only spent $10,000. So, is that correct? Tell me that right, we budgeted 54,
Yes, count the rings.
we spent 10,000. So we dropped it 11,000 for next year to 43. We're dropping another 10,000? We haven't even spent $10,000 down.
Page you on, Kurt? What page are you on?
He's on the expenses.
Page 43. The actual budget,
Looking at total
operating, I'm talking about
operating section.
That's because we haven't paid his salary, paying his contract.
Are we paying the salary out of that?
But the salary's up at the top, Mr.
Right.
Russell. This would be other expenses for the department.
I see we reduced it to 43,000 for 2018, but in 2017, the actual amount we spent is only $10,000. We could reduce another $10,000 to make it 33,000? It's a thought.
I'm trying to find out where you're at.
Right here.
He's on page 43, it's totals of the operating services supply section.
Operating service.
It says 10,084.79 for the actual for 2017.
You dropped it by 11,000.
Dropped it by 11,000. We only spent 10,000 in 2017.
Any other comments from the Fed? Administration? Next, please.
Next thing is page 44, safety department.
Councilman
Only
Burke?
thing in there is salaries.
I have a question. This position was actually lobbied to the council as a much needed item or position. And again, this is one of those ones that has not been filled yet, so can we get an update on that? I see Shane shaking his head.
Well, it's a very needed position. We can probably head off a lot of litigation if we had another safety engineer on staff to deal with people when accidents occur. And if we treat them nicely at the beginning, they're less likely to sue us. So Mr. Ghetto used to be good at that. And so we need somebody who has sufficient expertise and training to do this job. I would be very happy if we could get somebody to fill that position.
So this is a funded vacant position? My understanding?
It's funded right
Yeah, it
now.
is funded.
Was it funded in 17?
No.
Was it part of the layoff?
Just forward it.
Yeah, and also there are federal regulations that we have to comply with because there are various reports that have to be done. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I know that they exist and that they have to be filed. And the safety engineer historically is the person that does that, so I don't know what the heck's going on with those reports.
We looked at the hiring freeze and funded it, but the position was never hired.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay, so we
but if we're gonna hire that person, we need to restore probably the 2016 budget.
And Councilman Burke, to answer that question, following on that same train of thought, one of the reasons why, and thank you for coming during the year and refunding it, because when we signed the community action grant money with the feds, they require this type of position. And so now, it's another thing where how competitive that salary is. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is, but naturally we'd love to have someone in there. I know civil services backed up. There's a bit of a logjam there as well. But
We did receive the ordinance where they funded it and unfroze it, but we have not received a request to fill that vacancy.
well, then let me make an official request. I'll check my emails, but I stated publicly at a meeting that the reason why we needed that is because of community action. So the ordinance is law. When the council, well, strike that. When other ordinances have been passed, civil services taking action. But please make the,
Just as your, excuse me, so you need a paper trail, so if you can just send me something, so that I can.
Please send a letter or email to Ms. Barrios, please.
So,
Thank you, sir.
with that said, if there's plans on refund or hiring that position, we should refund their budget. Because right now it's at 0. He has no operating budget. So if we can prepare something.
$7,430.
Whatever the 2016
I think that's
actual
what
return.
it is,
Yeah.
5,000.
That's what we base pretty much everything on. That's why you see when we made cuts, we try to cut back to what the 2016 actual.
That's a start, so we start with that, if you need more, we'll just have to.
Correct.
Any other comments from the table? Administration? Could we move to page 253, library, please? Page 253. You have any questions on 253? 254, any questions on 254?
We're content to stay within that budget. Things improve, of course, we'll come forward and maybe ask for something.
So you get it up to page 255. So you're bringing still within the budget, this item?
Yes, sir.
Question from the table? Administration?
Did you,
Go ahead, sir.
did y'all reduce your budget by $45,000?
I see 27% in capital outlay and 27% in general operating, so yeah,
Thank you, everything gets good.
we're trying. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, appreciate it very much. Mr. Surpass, the next item, go back to where we left off.
Yes, sir. Get me.
Thank you.
I think the next thing is the Homeland Security, Emergency Preparedness, page 45.
Question from the table on page 45.
And he also has,
Yes, sir.
it actually goes through page 47.
Okay, 45, 47, Councilman Levine.
Harry, did you go in here and reduce all these? Thank you. Appreciate that. $34,000 reduction. Thank you.
Any comments from the table? Administration? Patrick, any other comments?
Sir.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Yeah, he's got 911 also, so we can go.
All right, let's move to 911.
I guess we look at that page.
What page it is?
Now, Tom.
Page 263.
263?
Yes, sir.
Any comments, sir? Administration, comments? Administration? Table, any comments from the table? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Okay, the next budget is page 48, Economic Development, is all zeros.
Wait, which page?
Page 48.
Any comments from the table?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. Councilman Black.
Yeah, Mr. Burt had legislation before in reference to, I believe, economic development. I would like to see this position reinstated. I'd like to see it as a priority position. I just kind of want to get the administration's take on that. Are you interested in either redefining this role, redefining the salaries, or what? I'm not sure of civil service. That was unclassified or classified? Unclass? So we can adjust the salary as we see fit? Okay. Mr. President, I mean, what are your thoughts on this particular position?
I concur, Councilmember Black. I think we're the only parish in the southeast regional area that does not have an economic development department. Problem is, though, it goes back to where we're going to, get the money from. So I'll leave that in your hands.
All right, and if you, I'm 100% for it. I think that's something we need to discuss amongst the council. We all appoint members to the Economic Development Board, which is stagnant right now. And I think it's a critically needed position. I've discussed it before, or whether or not we should consolidate the PIO Economic Development position. You talked before about making the PIO position unclassified. There's some civil service rules, involving that as far as, going through the Civil Service Board to have that, to me, if you redefine the economic development position as unclassified position, I think it may be an opportunity for you to have that kind of role do have it. And it's a,
No, if I heard correctly, Ms. Vargas, did you not say that, what was his name? Sam Mathis' position was unclassified, correct?
yeah, unclassified, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, again, that supports my argument that I made yesterday, which was a director, according to our civil service rules, should be unclassified. So, but, obviously, why is that?
The PIO's not a director.
Was addressed, at one time it was a classified position, I think when Mr. Nunez was in there, he wanted that person to be able to do lobbying at a higher level for grants and different things like that, which is why the commission allowed that to become an unclassified position. But I think somebody mentioned at one time, the salary for that director, we may have grant money coming in for that? I don't know.
Yeah, we may, but I guess my point is this, I'm kind of giving you an opportunity, and, you know, I would try to look for funding from other sources, because we need somebody in economic development. This is an unclassified position. I'm trying to give you an olive branch here, man, to try to say, let's do a dual role where we have a PIO who also does economic development.
Councilman Blackwood, I need his money, that's what I need.
All right, well, I guess we can't meet halfway. I'm trying to extend something to you here, Mr. President, but
No, I thank you, I'm just saying it.
Mr. Byrd,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a much needed position, especially, with the state of the parish finances right now, and having someone as an advocate looking for new businesses and new opportunities, I think is much needed.
And Councilman Byrd, and this is where effectively, and this is why I've always stated, this has been the goal. Economic development for the parish was squashed, but de facto, this is what the district, the Port Huron Internal District has been doing, which is, that's where all the money went. I mean, the $80,000 travel expenditures, so I'm fine with, Director Sanders, doing some of that. And it's up to you guys to oversee that and make sure that we get return for our investment. But I do agree with you, Councilman Black, and I agree with you, Councilman Byrd. We should have, we're the only parish in southeast Louisiana that doesn't have an economic development director, board set up. The problem has been, just going through this budget, is that we're short of revenue, so it's, I welcome your help.
Councilor Black, could you and Mr. Burke get together and set up a legislation for tomorrow for introduction, for passing the position put in funding?
I've already got legislation drafted.
I mean, let's just discuss it until we get everything from perspective and move forward with the position.
yeah, I mean,
We can do it tomorrow, for sure, finalize it tomorrow. Since we have a lengthy discussion on this going on, we can resolve that by making a proposal tomorrow, having the information ready for.
can I ask the President one question?
Yeah, okay.
Would you be opposed to defunding the PIO classified position, and using that funding for the Economic Development Office?
We have two different functions, most certainly.
I know, but guess what? The PIO is classified and it's funded and hasn't been filled.
I gave you a solution to that question from day one.
But
That's a false dilemma. That problem can be easily solved. So, and the duplicity of civil service in that saying that this director was unclassified, I think, I don't know, and the other one's not. I mean, that, once again, it just reveals some of the differences of interpretation.
So no, Mr. Chairman, I'll probably be busy.
I think, Mark?
I won't be able to be.
Okay, that's okay. Mr. Franklin, turn your heads up. We're checking out the chair, but we'll reintroduce it.
Councilman Berg, if I recall correctly, the ordinance you have is just to refund the positions and left a hiring freeze. I don't think it restores the budget for the office.
That's correct. I just think the salary probably needs to be tweaked somewhat.
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to.
We're going to have that ready for us tomorrow.
Put it in this budget.
Next item, please.
Next one is page 49, financial administration. I can go through this one. These give us some of the increases, health insurance, that's the.
Hey, get the mic going there, Tommy.
The health insurance is the increases that the increases in group insurance for, I think it was a 10% increase across the board. Board is shown there. This budget also has all the transfers to all the other funds. You can see transfer to road maintenance, transfer to public health, 911. It also shows transfers to the bonds. This is where the bond payments are made. You see in 2017 actual all the payments that we made so far. In 2017, the disaster loan, transfer to boat holders. There's also captures where we have the transfers of capital improvement funds. You see the water and sewer capital improvement decrease of $2,000,007. That's when we took the funding from the general fund and we moved it over to the waterworks fund for the Melchase Water Treatment Plant project. If you have any questions on that one, I can.
Comments from the table?
In here,
Yourself?
the, for the capital improvement, oyster procurement and merit fuel, that project was moved to capital improvement budget?
Always going to have a capital improvement.
And so we are funding the project through a grant?
Through a grant, but we have to pay for the bank service workers.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's a transfer to that fund.
So it's a pass-through?
Yeah, it's like general fund's gonna pay for the bank service charges.
Who's building it though? Are we contracting it?
I don't know about the project.
I have to look at the agreement again.
Yeah, this was going on Engineers Road, that's moved to Engineers Road?
This is a new project.
I saw you in the paper with that, so I thought that, I didn't know if we were building it with a grant for them, or how.
I
We
think
didn't advertise the project, so.
correct, we have not, so I don't think we're building that, but I can confirm and get back to you on that.
I'm just curious how the money why it's flowing through us, if we had no control over the contract or anything like that, are we gonna be liable in the end if the contractor doesn't complete the project? Or the grant?
I do know that we have not signed a contract with any contractor, so we wouldn't have liability that way.
Any other comments from the table? Administration? Next item, please.
Finance and accounting, page 50.
Page 50. Any comments from the table? Administration? Next item, please.
Next thing is data processing, which is 0.
Comments from the table? Administration? Move on, next item.
Next thing is sales tax. Keep in mind, anything that we make changes on this, there's a revenue for this that comes from the school board and the fire department.
Table, back on the table, have any questions, comments? Administration? Next item, please.
Purchasing, page 54.
Page 53. No,
54.
54, I'm sorry. Yeah, 54. Comments from the table?
My only concern, the reason that we go through these budgets so quick is because they're all reductions, like anywhere from 3 to 24%.
Right.
So that's why we don't really have a whole lot of discussion on all of these reductions. Just for public knowledge.
Change that.
Right. This is 24% is,
Actually,
next item, please.
The next one is self-insurance. I think we covered that already with Rachel Horton.
All right.
We can skip down.
Next item.
Human resources, we did that one too.
All right.
Page 57, inter-employee training. This is where those drainage pump operators are included in. the ones that are supposed to be retiring.
And train for those who will take it.
Correct, that's what it is, yes, sir.
Any comments from the table? Mr. Russell, then Ms. Williams?
Yes, that's not a full-year salary for him, though, is it?
It may be because those are part-time, no, they're not part-time.
After 6 of them, that's listed on the vacancies.
You're not gonna be training all year.
Right, but I mean, as long as they're budgeted in the full, the point I'm trying to make is that this is training money we're not carrying very far. So when we decide to look at the green pages and defund those positions that are vacant, you can't defund the pump station operators because it'd be.
Well, you've got to figure out how many just is gonna cover, you only have salaries of 88,000, which is only gonna be 4 of them approximately, and there's 6 on the list.
Well, that won't cover very long.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
think it's just for training itself, it's not for constant employment. I think it says just training. So when we go to the permanent
So that should be
employment,
in the drainage department?
yes, it should be.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with Rochelle on that, and see if she's the one that does the manual.
Okay.
So when she comes back, we can revert back to that if you want.
Mr. Chairman, I think what it is they pay them during a probationary period while they're being trained. So it is salary, but it stops and then
This is-
regular employment
This is
kicks
just
in after. the
training process, it's not the president.
Right, but they're paid a little
To
bit.
go back to the regular budget.
Yeah, I don't know how long she put this, for how many months she put that in for, I mean, it's still, when those people are retiring, they can train, they get hired ahead of time,
But
basically.
for clarification of the folks that are gonna fall in this bucket are not really trainees. Their job description and requirements are the same as a pump station operator too.
That's right.
So there's a misleading, it's misleading.
A little bit of history, when this department was created, it was created for, actually it started in our purchasing agent. Our purchasing agent was about to retire, but we needed someone to come in for them to train to sit for like a 6-month period. It was not intended for anybody to stay in this department any longer than 6 months. So just as it states, it's a training period. Usually before we place anybody in there, we verify that they've signed their retirement papers or so. But the problem with this is we've got to make sure that there's a communication with the parish president and here that as these people retire, that we take them out of this interim training and move them over into the department itself. And I know it's taken us a little while to get these people in place. We're processing 2 right now, and they've got 2 that has retired within the department itself. So I don't know if you need this many budgeted or what have you, but it's only a temporary fix for these people to stay in this department.
Right, so my point is that if we fund the full-time positions that are on the list, do we really need this interim training fund in 2018? Because we'll have a full funding position for them to be hired into.
Right, but I think Mr. Simpson, what he would like to do is to put these people in place so before all of those operators do retire, they can work with them and they can learn the operations of running the pumps and what have you. Then when they go out, then they can be moved from the interim training into the department itself.
Right, so you can't have the same
I
problem.
understand.
Yeah, so that's probably why it's not a full year of salary there, it's just a portion, to get them out as soon as the regular employees do retire.
So they're not classified as employees to full-time.
They are, but
No, I thought
in the
they-
department of an interim.
I thought they had to go through training before they can be approved as an operator. You have to
No,
complete the training.
These do have to meet the qualification.
They have to complete the training.
They are hired as a pump station operator, they're just,
Do they?
their salaries are coming out of the training department.
Do they have to complete the training to be certified?
Yes, they do.
That's what, that's
No, I mean, they have to, in order to be certified on the list, they have to meet all the qualifications.
And that one is to be go through
Right,
training.
but even if they were hired in the drainage department, they do have a training period, it would be deckhand and all that too.
Well, that's, so there's all kind of different versions here. Either I have to go through the training and be successfully completed to be considered for that job. But if I go through training and not be, not pass it, I'm not considered. So then, wait a minute. Swing, wait. But if I don't pass, then I cannot be considered for an employee.
No, what happens is during the probation period, if they don't meet those qualifications, human resources would remove them from the board.
Let me clear that up real quick. There was some terminology that was thrown out there as trainees. Those positions are not trainees. That's just the term that certain individuals use to come at this council during hurricane season.
Yeah, and I think what Greg was after, in order to put them in the training period, is because he wasn't losing just one person in the department. He's losing like 6 people, several pump stations and foremen that do run the pumps. So like having a department is going to be really. I don't know if that answers your question.
Mr. Chair? Ms. Ellen, you said that you are in the process of hiring 2 right now. 6 of them were approved. Have you received applications or recommendations for the other 4?
That's what I explained yesterday. Of the 13 that was certified on the list, we sent all of those over to the council president. 1 was not able to contact, 1 declined position, 1 did not have the driver's license or from the list. So, we're processing 2. And then,
So you're waiting on the remaining names for the other? Okay, so you're waiting on the recommendations for the remaining 4. Okay, and back to the job description itself. The council approved it with the intention, well, it was my assumption that it would be a trainee, not a pump station operator, as described in the job description. So when you're going to hire them, they're not being hired as a trainee, they're being hired as a pump station operator because the requirements are the same.
that's correct. It's just the money is placed in the training department so that they can work with the other employee before they retire.
I understand that, but I just think that it's misleading.
Well, that's the way the department was created, but they do have to meet the minimum qualifications of the job in order to be certified, and they're hired as the same classification.
They're hired as a pump station operator, not a trainee.
That's correct.
It's my understanding that what was going on is Greg was afraid that the older folks who had experience in the system would leave, and we'd have a gap with nobody employed and nobody actually knowing how to work the machine. So I think the idea was that these people who were placed into this budget block, the budget rubric, would be pump operators, they'd be hired as pump operators, even though they had the probationary period as all new employees have. But they would sort of shadow the older people who were there already, who could then teach them the ropes.
I understand that, but
That happened.
it's
It
not,
didn't happen,
right.
that's
So
correct.
my point is, do we need this $145,000 in this budget because of the overlap? I mean, how many pump operators are retiring that you have paperwork on?
We have 2 that have already gone. I have 2 that will be going next Friday. He's got 2 foremen that will be retired by the end of the year, but we haven't even addressed the foremen on there, but the foremen.
They'll all be gone before this budget even kicks in. So the training part of this,
It's useless because they're gonna have to come on as full-fledged operators to fill the positions of the retirees.
That's right.
so again, do we need the $145,000?
That would be up to Ms. Coleman.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, if he wants, we can redo the paperwork and just move her over now into the department itself. And then that way that's building.
I recommend that amendment, to remove this.
Mr. Vince sent me here with his proxy today to talk on his behalf for his departments, and it makes most sense to get rid of this holding category, and we'll free up that money, and because it's just a holding position, it's a budget gimmick.
I mean, you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prepare the memo. Next item, please.
Take it on, take it all out.
Yeah, we do our item full-time anyway.
Next item.
Next item is, civil service.
Civil service?
We did it yesterday, didn't we?
Okay, hold on. I want to bring you back up and run. No, we did it yesterday, don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, well, also, but I'd like to address, the personnel in there. I didn't talk about that yesterday. I would really, really appreciate if y'all would consider funding those 2 positions. we are so short-handed and it's been very, very difficult trying to keep up. So, any consideration that would give to us for that, I would really appreciate it.
And right now you have two people, yourself and one other,
One other, and that other person will be going out on FMLA shortly.
and you're retiring?
I hope to.
When would you do that?
I can go December 26th.
Is that when you plan on going?
I don't, I would like to have somebody in the office that I can hand things over and that they can be trained in all aspects of the department.
Right. Another training position.
Well, you would consider that.
Next, please.
Next is page 59, Parish Courier.
Comments from the table?
33% decrease.
Administration? Next, please.
Page 60, Register of Voters.
17% decrease.
Any questions from the table? Administration? Next item, please.
Elections.
Any comments from the table on elections? Administration? Next item, please.
All right, the next thing I have is buildings. Now, this one, you look at the white page, it's going to have all the divisions in every building. So let's go to the, back to the gray page, and give you a page number. Page 51. What this does is just combines all the buildings together.
Page 51. General buildings. Any comments on page 51 and 52?
I have a question.
Mr. Burke?
Are we currently receiving revenues on all buildings rented in the parish?
Yes. On the community centers.
Auditoriums?
Voltage?
No.
I mean, not the,
We get rental from Port Street though.
Well,
The
Port, yeah.
10% revenues
Yeah. She doesn't do.
I don't deal with that.
go right to you.
Those dollars, yes.
Any comments from the table?
Are there any buildings we
Councilman Black?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Are any buildings in your inventory that you feel that are surplus?
Not,
Yeah, we
No, 51.
Mr. Russo, did you hear that?
I was just wondering, can we get a list of all the buildings so we can, if she doesn't have any idea about surplus, maybe we can evaluate it.
Yeah, that would be, I would appreciate that. And are we paying insurance on,
I have a list here.
yeah, we get a copy of that, maybe a soft copy or,
Hard copy's good.
hard copy, Yeah, might as well. And who else copies? How many we need?
None. Right here, just in a soft copy.
Staple them in order.
Just scan this and just, we can do that later, don't worry about it right now. I mean, we finish this in a minute. I mean, next time, just give us a,
Any comments?
yeah, are we paying, insurance and stuff on the trailers that we have that are sitting vacant? The trailers that we need to remove, that's not necessary, such as the district attorney's old trailer, that's uninhabitable.
I don't deal with that.
You'd have to ask you, we have
That would be
to.
HR.
Mr. Chair.
Good.
Are the janitors of the buildings included in your salary, in your salaries of your department? The janitors of all of the buildings?
Yes.
I'd just like to make a recommendation, and I don't know how far-fetched this may be. The auditoriums, I feel, may only need to be cleaned, or we may need to look at them only being cleaned on an as-needed basis as opposed to someone sitting in there during the day, because the buildings aren't utilized every day. The YMCA's, yeah, that's one thing, because people come and go in them, the district, the council offices, well, mine in general, you know, I don't feel the need that those need to be cleaned every day, the auditoriums and things of that nature. The buildings where the public comes into every day, you know, that may be somewhere that you can look at, you know, cutting back a little bit.
Well, some of them are not cleaned every day, however, they do go out and clean other facilities in the area.
Okay.
They're not just at that building all day long. is what I'm-
Well, I'm gonna use my district as an example. You have the Fort Jackson Museum, which right now is not being utilized, but it will be shortly. You have the YMCA, you have my office, the auditorium, and the library. That's 5 buildings, and there's what, 2 custodians
Yes.
down there? So those 5 buildings, you're paying 2 people 5 days a week to clean 5 buildings.
However, the Buras Community Center, when the Y is in there, they have the kids program.
Yes, I understand that, because there's people in there constantly. The library, you know, is iffy. I mean, you know, it's just a suggestion, Ms. Tony. I mean, I know.
Any other comments from Ted?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, so our expenditures are about 3.1 million in buildings. The offset from revenues, do we have a number of, what's the net? As far as revenues that we get, should from rentals or, fees, what's the offset? But obviously, we'd like to be as close to that number as possible, which I'm sure it's not gonna be the case, but.
That was kind of my question earlier, was are we renting buildings but not collecting?
Well, we're collecting, but the fees, they don't cover the rent, really. The fees that we're collecting.
So you don't even pay for the employee that's working
No,
the
it
building,
doesn't.
doesn't cover the cost.
You don't want to see those revenues, you go back to the revenue section, the green section, and the white pages. Look on page, starting on page 1 at the bottom. You see each one, Belchase Auditorium, Fort South Community Center, and on.
What page is it?
It's on page 1 at the bottom. The revenues are white page.
Back up.
White page.
Ms. Stone, in your opinion, how much we should be raising the prices for the buildings that we're not making any money for in percentage? Do you have an idea?
We're checking the surrounding areas on some of the fees they charge, and our fees are below that amount, what they charge in the surrounding areas.
Can you make a list of that and give it to?
We do have a list of that information.
All right, somebody has to get it, administration, maybe you can give it to Kevin Giles, and we can work on that, brother. Because I know if the people from outside can't get it, their aunts, uncles, and cousins get it for them.
We're suggested upgrades.
And we've given it to the outside more than the inside.
We've suggested raising the fee for a person that is not a parish resident.
Yeah, I think Mr. Peen was working on that. Okay, thank you.
Working on $5 a day.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's $5 a day.
That's how you pay for the employee.
For the water, you know.
We had a piece of legislation about 2 years ago to try to raise it to market.
We have to do that, because we need some income.
Yes, my question is, what part of that is subsidized through taxation?
Many tax that cover the bill.
Well, who collect taxes, who pays for this budget?
Yeah, we can get a discussion.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, we pay, people pay taxes, I pay taxes just like you pay taxes, everybody before pay taxes. And that tax is dispersed through the budget, as is seen fit by this council and by this administration. But we the one decide the appropriation and how the operation of it. All I'm saying is that people do pay tax for services. Now, whether or not that's part of their service or not, but the idea is you have to be careful what we do. That is an isolated thing, you can shut it down. So if you think that's a problem, shut them down. Then you have to worry about paying anything.
You're still on the building.
Well,
Yeah, still, close it, shut it down. Close it down, lock it up.
I think it's worth looking at operating more in business model than shutting down.
Now,
I agree.
such to provide that people can use it, can afford to utilize it.
I agree, but I mean, $5 a day.
No, I ain't talking about $5.
That's the reason.
Well, now that we know that.
Right now, it costs over $450 to rent the center.
Plus your deputies.
Plus your revenues. For one event, costs about $700, if not more.
Is that right?
Yes.
No, I'm telling you, it's right.
The 4-hour minimum is $100 an hour, plus a $250 cleanup damage deposit that is refunded after they use the building, providing they clean up and there's no damage. And the deputies, now the deputies is a larger part of that. It's $150 per deputy.
$150 once you get your deposit back?
What's that?
It's $150 after you get your deposit back?
No, it's $100 per hour. It's a 4-hour minimum.
Plus $250?
Plus the $250. Now, you get the $250 back, that's a damage cleanup deposit.
But to correct you too, the deputies only use it if there's alcohol involved, correct?
No.
Deputies are used all the time?
If it's non-alcohol, they're allowed to have 300 guests, but they have to have 2 deputies.
Okay.
And what's $30?
The deputies are $150, they get $30 an hour.
$30 an hour. So if you get 2 of them, that's $60 an hour, times 4.
So now,
$204.
I just go away from burning down.
Get your-
Yes. It's a.
I'm not complaining, yeah, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying what it is. And a lot of people, the state of the economy right now is terrible, we all aware of that. Our unemployment is high in Blacklands. High unemployment rate. So the thing is that we keep adding, and at least the amount of our people want to enjoy it, but we have the outsiders to come and enjoy it more together. You see, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I do have a lot of outside people that.
Well, is there any way that we can charge outsiders more than parish residents?
Sure, we can pass an ordinance.
That may be more charge.
I mean,
Trying to fire me. I don't have a problem too.
Do they book it in a resident's name?
You do.
Well, if we know of that, we don't allow that to happen. Sometimes, you know, if they're aware of that, then they, you know.
Any other comments from the table? Any other comments? Administration? Tom, you have any other comments? All right. Next item, please.
Mr. John, I have, Mr. Barber here now. I want to revert back to legal service. Page, 23, you stay in the great page.
I'm, Mr. I'm going to step out. Okay.
23 in the group?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is going to be a fun.
What are we on for?
We will legal services,
Page 40, right?
page 23. In the group. Page 23 in the group.
Oh, I thought boss would like to go earlier with the past president, okay?
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same one, there's no division on this.
I have a couple questions.
All right, Mr. Bobby and Shane, are y'all ready?
He's just.
Well, no, I just-
No, I don't say nothing anyway.
All right. He's been quiet all day.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
Salaries and wages, can you guys just explain the 21% increase in salaries and wages?
Sure, that's where we hired Mr. Phil Cole.
He's a full-time employee in that contract?
He's contract right now, as of next year, I would like to move him over. Right now, he's agreed to do it by contract, I haven't been having to pay him retirement or health, which is saving up a lot of money. I'll say it very.
So that salary is $108,290 with benefits, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
How does that work, Tommy, when we, sorry, Mr. Jim?
Go ahead, sir.
How does that work when we appropriate funds for a salary, full-time salary, and the department decides to hire that person as a consultant? Is that, I mean, that's fine to do?
Yeah, what's
Or should we
happening?
directly make it a consulting fee or?
Yeah, he's just like they hired him as just like they did any other outside attorney. He's getting charged with professional service down in the operating section. So what happens is, what we did, the reason you see a $126,000 increase is because he was funded for the year for one put in that position. So we took that funding out. We did that August, we took the vacancies out. We took that money out, so now this is funding back for the whole year for next year.
So the question is he going to become an employee January 1st?
Yes, that was the plan.
Okay.
I had an issue because I had to have separate attorneys because of potential conflict issues, and so I needed actually a contract owner versus an in-house one. So that's why I did it that way. And he was nice enough to agree to that. So,
Now, following along this line, the Simon and Redfern firm, that came in that one case,
that's correct. That's the toxic tort case.
and it was my understanding the legal support general for extra $100,000. We hired Mr. Culver because we weren't going to get away from outside attorneys.
That's correct. We have.
So we can take that $100,000 out of legal support general?
That actually, the reason that's in there is you have Mr. Terrio, Ed Terrio being defended is why that was in there. That was the money set aside to defend Mr. Terrio in CDC where he was sued while acting as the temporary parish president. That's the reason that's in there.
Why have y'all chosen to use Mr. Barnett for that particular case?
I did, Mr. Terrio did, and with that's who.
We didn't have a choice.
Right, right. I'm going to ask for an amendment to that to remove it, and unless another attorney gets represented.
Well, the only problem I have is I have to use, once again, there's a question about legal conflict problems from an ethics standpoint, because I need somebody outside of our office, otherwise
I agree with you,
all for good.
and I also have many ethics and conflict issues in that line. So I would ask you, as the parish attorney, to, if you want to retain the funding for that particular case, find some other counsel. Maybe Mr. Cole, if he's a consultant.
Well, my problem is, there was a point on bringing him in as an employee, that was the only issue with that, but I mean, I'm happy to do it any way y'all want me to do it. I mean, I just have, as long as it doesn't ethically have a problem with Mr. Terrio's okay with it. Once again, that's one of those things I inherited when I got here.
Yeah, and that wasn't specifically mentioned when we did the ordinance about council. I think that's in the charter, I think we've already debated 1,000 times.
Yes, we have.
But, so, I don't even know my position.
Well, yeah, while we're talking about that, you know, you say we hired Mr. Culver.
Yes.
I would support funding Mr. Culver for him to sue us. And isn't that who was at the council, at the table the other day?
Which one? Of the,
Davis action? Okay, so you're saying that we're defending the government against the council, that's what his position was at that table, right?
We were doing everything in-house.
And so it would be in my best interest that the council would sit in this side of the table, take that money away. Because the argument, Peter, without getting into the detail, is so ridiculous and it's been litigated already, that I think that it's really a waste of public funds to come at us like that.
Well, if you notice, sir, all I can say is we did it in a very efficient, and I thought pleasant.
You heard what the judge said, too.
Yes, sir, I did, and I've respected that, and I've tried to be as respectful as I could, and I've tried everything I can to minimize cost.
So let's get back to this side of the table. How are we gonna finish this case, or are we gonna continue? Because I'll take this money out of the budget if I get to vote. If I know that he's gonna be sitting there on the opposite side of an issue that we've litigated many times, wasting his funds on that individual to represent alongside of that individual against this body.
Councilman Russo, I'll be more than glad to discuss that litigation with you. Well, I don't want to speak out of turn. I wasn't there. What the judge said, there is litigation there.
I was there.
We didn't, the administration did not file it, so.
But this is the problem I have. You know, funding frivolous litigation when we pass something as a body, and then we have to go to a mandamus to get it enforced on simple things that have already been litigated. So, you know, I think that we need to resolve this. Just as the judge said, we need to resolve this without spending another nickel, and let Mr. Carver continue on his way to do whatever he's going to do for this government, and not represent alongside the parish attorney against this body.
And any comments from the two?
I don't know if I can say it more.
531.001, legal support general, that's what we was on?
No, that's the next one. I hadn't got to that one.
From where they on?
I was on Mr. Cole.
Well, you're at the top?
Yeah, he's going to be an employee now, from what I understand.
You were on 531.001.
Professional services general.
Yeah.
We got two professional services right there, back to back. One was for supposedly Mr. Kelly. One was for the borough pit down the road on the Redfern firm. And Burglass and Tankerly's taking care of about 5 or 6 cases. The issue I have now is the $150,000, 532,001. Well, I don't know what it's for, but yeah. Legal support for 53.1-, .001 is for Ed, correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
That's an additional 50,000, or did you use any already?
I had that in there just in case. If you would take it out, take it out. I hope to get out of that, because that case seems to be floundering. So,
What do you mean, floundering?
the plaintiff's having a hard time proving the case. So,
So you can reduce that to 55,000.
Wait, which one, 55?
531.001, reduce it.
Professional services general, the 150?
Well, it's 50. The increase was 55,000. We had 45 for 17. We can go take 55,000 out and leave it as it was for 17, for 18. Get that, Michelle?
This is the problem I have, Mr. Russo, and that's why, that's why I think the ordinances is specifically stated, because they just move money around legal services.
actually, I have, anytime I've asked for money, I've gone back and asked for it, I've put in a specific fund for a specific thing, so we would not have to have this conversation.
Okay, I mean, because Mr. Barnett was paid $17,500 on October 31st, which where did that money come from?
It came out of the old budget for work he did before I got there. He was there working January, February, and we had a trial in March. So,
And then what money is going to get paid out of this time, when we invoices us for the time that he spent, on the multiple cases?
yeah, he showed up, because I had to have him there as a witness from the judge to explain the discovery agreement that the other side had violated. So he explained to the judge what had happened. They filed a motion against us. Mr. Culver has been handling that case, but I had to have him there to explain to the judge what the original agreement had been on them producing certain documents that they reneged on. We saved a lot of time by having him there and worked it out.
Councilman Lepine?
So is Mr. Barnett actively working any cases right now?
Ed Harrio's the one he's working on.
Not
Everything
working.
else, I've enrolled myself and Mr. Culver.
And the litigation against the DA, he's not working that one?
He's representing
So he is working.
also the parish president.
Who's paying for that?
About the next question, Mr. Black beat me to it, where's that coming from?
That would be, I would assume, out of the president's discretionary funds. Not really.
Mr. Chairman?
Good, Council.
I'm not sure what discretionary funds the president has.
Could have been the public information officer. Could have been the public information officer.
Right. So I'm not sure how he's getting paid for that. And I'm not sure why is the parish responsible for paying that.
I will tell you, he was sued in his official capacity as parish president. We have to have an attorney to represent him in his official.
Okay, so that would either be you.
Incorrect.
That would be you.
Incorrect.
If I could, hold on, can I just finish? Yeah, no. You, or we would have to appropriate funds to hire a special counsel, and for the charter, would have to be specific to that, right? That's what you argued before. That's why we amended some of the ordinances from the appropriate funds for Mr. Terrio's offense, etc. So none of that has been done.
Well, but that was also, once again, already done before I got here. That was filed and answered before I ever got here. So, once again, I came in, I took over, I've been trying to get everything on the right path. I've been straightforward, and I've presented to you specific names and amounts of what's been done. But the stuff with that case was all filed before I ever got here, and you attorneys were representing you, were not my decisions. So,
Mr. President?
On my 10th day in office, Councilman Black, District Attorney Charles Ballet, who has 7 attorneys in his employ that this government funds, chose to hire outside counsel, 2 of them, one from St. Charles Avenue, another one from somewhere else. And as an attorney, licensed attorney, I most certainly have a right to defend the office of the parish president. And the District Attorney Ballet also sued Clackamas Parish government. So, you're right, I'm going to defend this government.
So Finance Department, do you have an amendment to take out the 150 for professional services, general, 532001?
55,000 reduction for legal support general, and $150,000 reduction for professional services.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the table, Mr. Burke?
Just below that 532.040, professional services medical, there's a $25,000 increase in prior year.
it's medical experts for litigation.
We're having trouble proving our cases without medical.
And we often need to have medical experts as independent medical examiners in personal injury cases. I think the fact that we just got hit with one where we didn't have an IME on a case that went forward before I got here, and we had a woman who was being treated by a chiropractor using a wooden spoon, beating her in the back to give her new muscle mass, and the judge fought that one. So when I went through these numbers, I said, we're beating ourselves to death with no expert money in the budget, and frankly, this is going to not be a good thing. So that's why you see it in there. I did not want a wooden spoon repeat for the year. So
Councilman Black?
All right, professional services investigation, 25,000.
Same thing. In that particular case, I had a woman who claimed she was so disabled she couldn't leave the house. And I had found, thankfully, a series of tweets and posts and other cited items on Facebook where she was wondrously commenting on going to various sports bars, the Guns N' Roses concert, a few other odds and ends for impeachment purposes. But if I would have had an investigator videotape her, it would have been a slam dunk. But I did not. So once again, I had to put some of these things back in the budget because we honestly, defending ourselves, we've got to be able to have access to some of these things.
Right, I mean, you think $25,000 is an exorbitant amount?
Not at all. That's a pretty bare bones operation. I mean, one eye and me could, on the medical side, could cost you $10,000, sure. So, but it could also save us millions in liability. So it's dollars and cents. So I put a bare minimum amount in there. I could give you an example. I got rid of Westlaw this year that my predecessors had signed up to the tune of $40,000 a year for. I was able to get that number down to $1,500 a month. They're using Nexus Lexus. So there are things in here I've taken out that I've actually been trying to save money on. If you actually look at the overall numbers, it's way down.
All right, let me ask you, this is my last question. I mean, I think you and I and the president as well are all about making past wrongs right, correct? Would you have a problem with us, once we adopt this budget, to go back and amend ordinance or create ordinances to adhere with section 5.02 of the charter, legal services, where it says no special counsel shall be employed by either the parish president or the parish council until a budget appropriation has been made for that purpose. To me, that interpretation is, the purpose is any specific litigation. Would you object to us as a council going back retroactively and making ordinance appropriations for specific special counsel hires and then moving forward?
I would welcome the transparency. Frankly, it would cut down on my stress with having people question what I'm doing. I would just ask that at times, if there are questions, we may have to do it in executive session because some of these things involve legal issues that may...
I agree,
but as your rule,
coming out of the executive session just to follow the charter, then we should have an ordinance that specifically appropriates funds to a specific attorney who either the parish president or the parish council employs.
I would agree. That's what the charter says, yes, sir. Like I said, I would welcome that.
Okay, I know to clarify a lot of these issues that we're having about who's on the parish payroll, attorney, you know, and what lawsuits are out there pending, or other litigation, etc.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I would appreciate it. I would think it would be a good thing.
All right, thanks.
Your LexisNexis, I don't see it in the budget.
It's under Westlaw still, but
I just actually got that done about 2 weeks ago. So I'm not sure if it made it into here yet.
It's not in here?
531.005.
531.005.
Legal support, special research, Westlaw.
Why? I said we're keeping the same budget, but we didn't spend any money this year, and we only spent $2,700 in 16, so what's the reasoning behind budgeting for this year?
Because Westlaw's expensive, and when we had it for the Curtis cases, LB had spent a lot of money on the front end of that, and so it's been momentum to keep it.
When did that start? Because was that prior to 16?
LB's been with the office for so many years.
Yeah, okay.
So it would wait for my time.
So part of that's momentum, so it's like 1,500 now for LexisNexis.
It should be 18,000 a year.
Yeah, probably.
Is that 40?
Yes, sir.
Can you make the amendment, please?
Yeah. How much?
40 to 18.
consultants accounting. Is it because we're anticipating spending more money on that we're going from 21,000 to 40? 534.710. What does that entail? Billing?
I think it's an expert for experts. Yeah, I think that was actually what it had to do with, LV had told me actually in anticipation of having to do more land work and more issues involving either appropriations, donations, and land transfers. He and I worked on that. He was thinking he was going to need more money, just for that reason.
Councilman King?
Mr. Cormier, what line item would Mr. Andy Wilson be paid out of?
He's the Simone Perigine.
The what, I'm sorry?
Simone Perigine. He has an actual, his own number on that.
So we have budgeted, we asking for another 50,000 for next year, correct?
That's because the trial got pushed into next year. I didn't know if it was going to end up going or not going, so I budgeted it in case it did, because I'm assuming it would.
Okay, so.
There may be a rollover from this year, honestly.
How much, you know how much we spent to date?
I do not, I have to check, unless, I mean, I don't
According to
know.
this, for the budget, for them, we said nothing.
Well, we have, because we got a trial date that run.
Okay, we budgeted 50,000, but it says at 17 actual, we haven't spent a dime out of this.
Yeah, well, no, it's just, once again, the majority of that work happened in October and into November, so it's just, I don't think it's made that big deal. Well, we did that worksheet, because I did this worksheet several months ago.
So this is 17, okay, 50,000. Increasing 50,000, more thousand to 100,000 in 18. So we think we need 100,000 to defend this case against BP?
Possibly. This isn't BP, this is the landfill. This is the toxic tort landfill.
The landfill?
Our pit that was filled with debris.
Okay, well, I'm talking about Mr. Andy Wilson with,
That's it, what we're talking about.
okay, now I'm talking about with the suit that has our money tied up against.
He was doing that, the same general money, but that's coming back to the parish. I don't think that's gonna be an issue now.
Okay, so we don't need him anymore.
I don't know.
Well, I would recommend we cut that 50,000 out. Come back to us if you need it.
That's fine. Defer to your wisdom.
Can't read the numbers on my phone, the legal.
530.60.
Yeah, news at 50,000.
What line would you make it?
Some more.
The next one?
That still leaves you with 50, Peter.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If I come back, I need to come back, I'll come back.
Anything else to say, Sean?
Peter, 551405. 10,000 budgeted, I was spending 1,700 back in 16.
Oh, we were actually just up, I was hoping to be able to send some of these guys to more courses on toxic tort litigation, that kind of stuff. I mean, we're trying to stay current. A lot of change in litigation.
Ms. Williams?
I might add, you gotta realize, when I got here, nobody had been in charge for quite some time and nothing had been going on. So I'm trying to get things back organized and train people working, so.
Any other comments? Table?
Yeah, just one last
Black?
Mr. Russo had brought up earlier about litigation involving, I think Peter was here, about resolving that litigation, the mandamus stuff, that should be pretty simple, what the judge had said. Instead of doing a rollover, I was looking at the budget and there is $30,000 left in operational fees from 17 in the president's budget. I mean, can we use that to move I mean, we're gonna replenish it anyway, in 18, we never cut that, but I think that's what, Tom, you have it online? The remaining operations
For 17,
for 2017, I think it's 30,000 remaining?
I can go and run, parish president department?
Yeah.
Okay, let me run those super fast.
I'm just gonna resolve this issue, or this mandamus. I think that was a sticking point, right? The funding for the move?
That was the argument in court.
Right.
Right. We're gonna replenish it in 18, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's our role.
You're referring to the moving expenses?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've already begun, two biggest groups I have are the land records, oil revenue, LB's records, and then of course, Bill Lot in the grant department has a tremendous amount of records as well. And this all has to be moved, because she has to keep it right.
And you're looking for funding for it, is what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so,
And when we move those kinds of files, we have to have eyes on them for ethical reasons, maintain accountability of them, and have somebody there from our office to.
right. So I'm saying if the funds are available in the operating budget, and it's already, December, that's a lot of money. Instead of rolling it over to the general fund, just use those funds, to invoice the move, and then we can replenish it anyway in 18, we've already went through that budget out.
Mr. President?
Just want to inform this council that ever since the administration from the years of 2007 to 2014, Plaquemines Parish government embarked upon a huge change in numerous ways. The one that's pertinent now is that we became hooked on federal grant money. Now, one of the key provisions, and I'll be more than glad to let any of you review this grant paperwork, which is usually about this thick, with about 20 some odd pages detailing regulations on document retention. And that's something that you don't play with. And I know it's hard to remove the politics from all of this, but if for nothing else, for the good of Plaquemines Parish government, have a little sense of timing and sense of, we all know we're going into an election year, and that might be what's driving us to this. But the document retention is something that if something, now is not the time to start shuffling buildings. Not right now on the tail end, because we have to make sure that, and there have already been, how would I say, well, we've all heard that there were dumpsters and whatnot. Now, I don't know if any of that's true. I hope it's all false from before. But document retention issue is something that I just want to let the public know and let everyone know it's something we have to be cognizant of when we're making decisions at this point in time.
Mr. Rousseau?
Yes, and I have all the confidence in the world in the administration and legal department that they will hire professionals to be able to move those documents and get a retention policy in place so that there'll be no interruption in the government by the end of the year.
Councilman Williams?
Yes, and I was going to reiterate on that as well. And as far as the ethical issues goes, Mr. Barbier, are y'all going to put eyes on those documents as they're moved as well, or you're going to leave that into the professionals' hands that you?
Oh, no, even if we have professionals.
Y'all are going to supervise the move, keep your eyes on the documents. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make note that as far as timing, Mr. President, that has been done several months ago, when we run into election year.
Councilman Young?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Tommy, is that money available?
Yeah, were you looking at a particular line item or just?
No, is there money available?
In parish president?
Right.
the table, the operating budget, let's see, the total
As you're doing that,
is $29,000
all
left.
right, so Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Russo was there, you were there. The judge was pretty clear, he would like to see this resolved civilly. Huh?
I think we all.
Right, I think, well, most, 99% of us. So with that, and I do trust you guys will have, as Mr. Russo said, a good retention policy, and we've stated that. We have the funds. The funds can be, we don't need any other special appropriation from the council, because it's an operating budget of the parish president, who is the office that's moving. I just heard from the president, it sounds like he doesn't want to leave still, but this council, I think, has spoken. I think the judge has been very clear. So I would just ask that this, in response to what the judge had asked, this is at least my plea, and I'm sure many other colleagues up here's plea, to, here's the money, this is where you need to get it from, doesn't take any other council action, we'll replenish it in 2018, which we've already done, we haven't amended that budget. We're confident that you have a retention policy. Are there any other issues that we need to address? Otherwise, this should be solved. I'm sure the judge will probably watch the video of this and say, you know, you've been given everything you needed. Why is there no compromise? The compromise is coming from this side. Okay.
I would just have to confer with, I know Mr. Giles and the other heads, as they're supposed to be moving too. I can speak from my side of it, would be obviously, that is able to move. I don't know about Mr. Giles, I don't want to speak for him, or their heads. But I will certainly do anything that's the will of the legislature that comes to do.
Any other comments, Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, one more. So, do you have funds to move, or do you need funds to move?
I consult with our president and see what he says. I can't move unless he directly moves.
Mr. President? Mr. Chairman, let me, for the public's information, the budget that we're proposing is, for the parish president, $404,000. In 2014, we cut from 2014 over $202,000. That's almost a one-third cut in this budget. And so, I think that's crucial to note. And so now we're going through line by line. But the budget that Cormier administration has proposed is two-thirds of what it was in 2014 for the office of parish president. And that's not accounting for inflation. So if you account for inflation, that's a much huger cut.
Ms. Williams?
With all due respect, I'm sure our revenues were cut by just as much, if not more, and from 2014 until now.
Susan?
And I commend you for the budget cut. That has nothing to do with the fact that we talk about moving, because now's the time to put money in the budget if it's needed. And I think that's where Councilman Black is headed, and that's why I asked Reverend Giles if he needs funding to move. But I'm going to be able to tell our council to assure the judge that we have made every effort to budget funding in the budget for the move. Now, I think that's the statement that we're making here, and we're asking for, is there any other obstacle to that move that we can address today that will satisfy the settlement and allow the judge to dismiss this case? Mr. President?
And I'm going to say, just like Councilman Black said yesterday, this has nothing to do with budget hearings. It's in litigation. There's some members of this council initiated, so. Although that's all about priorities.
7 of 9 initiated it.
And the point I'm making is that, without being too redundant, that the judge asked us to settle this. I'm doing my best right now to ask if there's anything else financially, because that was the argument that the legal counsel made that was an obstacle to the move. And Hearing none, I will be confident in telling our counsel, and I'm not talking about this counsel, I'm talking about our attorney, to make the plea to the judge that we have done everything and provided the funding. Unless there's an objection here that says there's not enough funding. And if there's not enough funding, then we need to know so we can make an amendment for you to put into the budget. And maybe we ought to do that anyway, just to be sure. So I would ask that the finance department wake up. Would you prepare me a $20,000 amendment to the president's office?
That's on top of the 29,000?
I'm being very
So
generous.
did, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Did the 29 or the 30,000 that was requested, was that for all departments to move, or was that just for legal or the parish president?
Well, to be honest with you, they never made a request of funding.
No.
I'm still.
This was just one that I found within the present operating
Oh,
budget.
they just said they needed funding, never specified an amount.
Correct. And so that was the issue in the court. So do you have an estimate?
No, I'd actually gone last week, like most of the people were gone to the bigger recipients, so to speak, of the space and saying, we need to get an estimate, start preparing numbers. So I was actually hoping to do that next week.
And you have an estimate this time, so...
I need to get estimates from several people, so I was trying to figure out what it would cost and get it bid, so.
Just as an effort to show the judge that we are willing to fund this move, I would ask that the finance department prepare an amendment. Professional services move to building 100. You can go that far if you want.
Any comments from the table? Administration? Next item, please.
Next thing I have on the list is maintenance. Okay, John? Maintenance is another one that has multiple divisions. We can go to the rate pages. Get there. Page 53. Red, page 53, red.
53, good. Great.
Right here.
Okay. Any comments from the table? Page 53 and 54, great. Please?
I'm just inquiring about the 12% increase. I know we have the 3% merit increase, but what's the additional 9%? I mean, 8%? Insurance?
That's money.
Your salary.
Or is it someone that we're planning to hire, is that?
Funded.
The master carpenter is already retired, am I correct?
Yes, he took a medical retirement.
27%. Any other comments from the table?
Yeah, I have one more. I'm not sure.
Councilor Black?
Does the electrician fall into your scope?
Yes.
Any idea about hiring an electrician or reclassifying that position to a higher level to hire, to actually attract employees?
We have to do that. We have one as the electrician.
Also, we hire one already? Mr. Charlie Bird's father-in-law, Mr. Reyes, would be very happy to hear that, so thank you. Please tell Charlie for him. Thank you, Mr. Jobs.
Any other comments from the table? Administration? Thank you, sir. Next one, please.
Okay, hang on. We can go to street lighting, and we'll go to that. Payment rate pages. Page 85.
Griffin? Any comments from the table?
Yeah.
No, Councilman King, Councilman Black?
Mr. Griffin, for clarity, if it's a metal pole, it's the parent's responsibility. If it's a wood pole, it's entity's responsibility. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay? Because we've been, I know you've been shorthanded with as an electrician, we've been putting in I got a bunch of metal poles, but I just want to make that clarification. Now, if someone sees a burnt out light, can they call the administration without going through the council, or do they have to come through us first?
You're relevant to the council.
Okay, so
Representative for that area.
Okay, so the protocol is to go through us. I just, because when people say, I'm gonna call, I say, go ahead and call, but I mean, it's gotta go through me.
Yes, we still have to get the request from council, from the director, and then it's us.
Okay. Thanks.
Chairman? Yeah, so, I mean, as you know, and I appreciate all the work you guys do with the staff you have in my district. Seems to be one of the biggest lighting issues, I don't know why, but I have 6 neighborhoods that have metal poles, as you know. So, look.
People in the rich neighborhood.
So, there we go. Sorry, I don't own my whole plot of land on the family store, so anyway, get back to business here. I have 6 neighborhoods that have metal poles. I've spoken to some of the homeowners associations who discussed maybe changing out those lights at their own cost to LED. Obviously, LED probably lasts maybe 20, 30 times more lifespan than a regular light. Would that be something that if the homeowners associations paid to change the lights, if they would provide for the bulb, and you guys would you guys change the bulbs? It would keep you guys off the streets in those neighborhoods for a lot longer time than what's happening now. But then afterwards, maintain the LED. Is that something that I think would cut a lot of cost?
That would cut a lot of costs. We're in the process of changing some of the lights out with LEDs. And
Okay.
they average anywhere from 89 to 160
Per light bulb. What is the normal?
High pressure sodium probably costs about $49.
All right, so a little bit more than double?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'll talk to homeowners associations, and if we can agree for them to provide maybe the supplement that cost, the extra, whatever it is, opposite of the sodium, you guys pay for sodium, we pay for the homeowners, we pay for the rest.
No longer available, they becoming obsolete. Night Watkins are becoming obsolete.
Okay.
We can't purchase them anymore.
All right, I'll talk to the associations, most of their meetings are coming up this month anyway, so if I can do that, that's something you guys would agree to install?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
While we're on that, on the bridge, are those gonna be LED or are they LED now?
We are getting prices on LED lights for the bridge for Cobra heads. The lights they have in place right now cost twice as much to get them because of the parts. So we're in the process of changing them over to LEDs, getting poles and stuff.
What color?
Any other comments, table, administration? Next item?
Yes, sir. Next page, 55, recreation.
Okay, page 55, recreation. Any comments from the table?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Mr. Alderman Black.
Don't worry, Mike, I don't have any questions to cut.
I don't want to get taken to task.
And I don't want to know about football helmets today either. I just want to. I want, do you manage? Yeah, well, first let me finish the question. So you manage all of the parks, that includes Cypress Park, Diamond Park, Bayman, all of the recreation facilities?
Supposed to, myself.
So, okay.
I mean, I got, today I was across the river, we've got a major problem with these parks that have been built after Hurricane Katrina, because the matting, the under matting of the parks are coming,
they're just totally coming up. I mean, in some places, people have taken the matting, and I don't know if do y'all understand what I'm talking about?
It's the matting under the playground equipment. I have it at Roger Halpin as well as the Bluefield playground. I talked to Roger about that. Whatever was placed underneath there, and Reverend Giles is aware of this as well, whatever was placed underneath there is not sufficient. I think that's what we need.
And then the thing about it is, we have, at Leroy Harvey Park in Bluesville, I mean, the rubber matting is actually put now on top of the mulching, that they put down there for the kids to stand on, when they play and they jump off the, so it's totally reversed. I went to Oakville Park, Ironton Park, Alphen Field, Leroy Harvey Park might have been one of the worst ones I've seen. Cypress Park, I've been to Diamond Park, Fort Jackson, Blackberry Park. I actually received a compliment about Blackberry Park. That's where the tennis courts are. And no black ones popping up.
We used to put black dollars over there, but it's blacky dollars, yeah. Mr. Russo's.
Blacky Berry.
Blackie Burris.
You did a good job.
Well, anyway, scholar. Anyway, Dayland Park, okay, close to the pool, they got I mean, it's bad too, the black matting is coming up there. It seems like everything is starting to come up at the same time. And I made 2 phone calls about that. And,
So getting back to my question, which may alleviate some of those problems, we have problems in each park. Are we collecting revenue at every facility that we have outside events at?
no, sir, and then the thing about it is, I think that's something we need to address, because I keep hearing these people that go out of parish and then come back in the parish and telling me how much they have to pay for parks and park fees and everything like that, and
So I'll give you a prime example, and the reason why myself, Mr. Burke, some others are pushing for the $7.5 million quadplex facility, is that we think that facility, getting AstroTurf and everything else, the revenue generated from tournaments and everything else would pay for the maintenance. So the current parks that we have, such as Cypress Park, Diamond Park, I know they have softball leagues every weekend in Diamond. If we have a special,
not necessarily Diamond every weekend, they have one in the summer.
Leave.
they don't have a league in Diamond every week?
Just during the summertime.
Okay. And are those revenues that are generated from that enough to pay for maintenance?
Councilman Black, most of them are deposits that the people are supposed to put down and they get them back.
Yeah, but no, we have and Shane Landry worked on this, a fee schedule for rentals. So what I'm saying is,
I know prior to Katrina, I used to play in the women's league at Roger Halpin, and there was a fee that the women's league paid to the parish. And I'm sure those ordinances are still valid unless they were...
they were actually updated. Shane actually helped draft them. So my question is if we have parks that are dilapidated or things are coming up, the revenues that are generated from the use of the parks should be used towards the maintenance of them. But the problem that we talked about before is a lot of these parks, we're not actually charging people to use them.
Right.
But the leagues are generating money.
Of course.
There's only one league that I'm aware of, but there are people that hold parties and things of that nature at the park.
Right.
So that should be fees as well.
Well, some of that is not necessarily fees, some of that is, a lot of it is deposits.
I know, but
It's deposit, but you should still have a fee in addition to the deposit that you're gonna give back.
Well, I need the price list.
It's an ordinance, it's in the code of ordinances.
Ask Ms. Proud, I think Ms. Proud is aware of the fees. Ms. Maida.
Ms. May, okay.
And you can get a copy of the, you can ask Ms. Kim. Ms. Kim too can give you a copy of the ordinance.
And then how do we, what do we do
to be able to, collect on this.
Simple.
People could
If you go out in the field, somebody's playing a softball tournament, a baseball tournament, you say, here's the ordinance, have you paid? The fields have to be reserved in some kind of way.
I recommend that we maybe post signs at the fields. Yeah, put signs at the fields, at the different
Just for a
parks.
number to call.
Yeah, to rent this park.
Right.
Put the ordinance number.
That's right.
I think we ought to.
Because we're losing out on a lot of revenue that should go back to your budget, and we could set it up to where those revenues, instead of going to the general fund, goes into recreation's budget.
In a specific park.
Yeah, for you to maintain them.
I agree with you. I would,
All the parks able to be locked.
man, if they cut from those lots, let me tell you what
Not something you
actually,
can lock. There's 2 gates on each side of Roger Elton. You can lock those gates. The park, the playground equipment isn't, but the baseball fields are.
we've had these locks and chains cut.
But they
I
cut.
tell you what really, Councilman Black, man, we need, timers on the lights.
And that's all stuff that, when we get the revenues, it's probably not gonna be enough. It's the same with the buildings. We have $3.1 million in buildings, we get $700,000 in revenues. Or not even that, probably, no, $70,000 revenues. So it's never gonna meet up, but at least it's some money that you can put into your budget.
Right.
And then it'll be a recreation-specific budget that you can use as you wish. If you need lawnmowers, matting, light blocks, you know what I mean? If it's specific to you.
But the time,
And maybe Shane can help out with amending that ordinance to where the money goes into your budget.
the timers on the light, for the lights, we've been, you come, everything's dark. You go home, and you come back the next morning, and they got lights on in different fields, and,
I live right here, I come over with them, that's where I take, I'm letting them say the lights on all the time, everybody's the same.
and, I have that on the list here that I was gonna bring up to y'all, and, I do agree with y'all, we need to, investigate, or I need to get a price list on, what needs to be done.
Yes. This is how I feel. You go to a lot of other places in Louisiana and they got a village. I think we should put a village for recreation. And then that way we can take care of recreation. And we also got to charge the people a little more. They were getting away with the stealing things and doing everything. In Baton Rouge, they charge $350 to play volleyball. They charge $350 to play baseball. Now, I know that's a lot of money, but we have to put a village and let everybody in the parish pay for recreation. And that's what I feel. Now, that's got to be passed by the people. We can put it on, and if we don't pass, well, then they're on the luck. If it passes, then we can do good. That's how I feel. And I might be wrong, but that's the way I think we should do it.
I think that would be great, any way we can do it, we could do it. And then the thing about it is, you wouldn't have to worry about keeping somebody on watch for, to collect money all the time. Councilman Burke?
I just have 2 questions. First question is the Bell Chase Complex, the new baseball quad, any update on that?
I don't have any update, I don't have any information or ever get any emails about it, Council.
Yeah, I got an update, you want it?
Sure.
So the architect, Burt Darling Graves, came back, because it's been changed a couple times. I think the last amendment was to get rid of, because of the bond issues or whatever, but I think that's been resolved. I think Peter and Melvin took care of that. And it needs to be rebid. The problem is to do the redesign, to remove one of the quads, to do the other quad, all turf infields, to limit the amount of maintenance costs that you'd have, and offset with the revenue that's going to be generated. They want to charge $18,000, which is, I think it's $18,000 to do the redesign, which, I mean, that's probably appropriate, before it goes back out to bid and set the bid package back out. So as soon as,
Yeah, Mr. Black is on the line.
so as soon as that happens, or that money set aside to that architect, I don't want to pull Ken up here, just nod if you want. Is that what we don't need any more? 30?
We're talking about redesigning, what?
So basically, the quads were two sets of quads. It, because of some issues, it came in way over bid at like 900,000. We only have, not 9 million, we only have 7.5 million. So we had a discussion, myself, Charlie, Ken, the architects, about just eliminating one quad, keeping the concession areas, keeping the parking, but making the one quad top notch. Putting turf down on the infields and where it's maintenance free. It's cost a little bit more, but it's better quality. Taking the second quad and just having flat ground. So you can still play soccer, football, whatever, practice facilities, which a lot of these parks don't have places where people will warm up. Which would be way less than the 7.5 million. I mean, we estimated maybe 5 million. That way we can move the other Sandiac money to other Sandiac projects. But in order for the architect to go back and redesign that, because there's some redesign and drawings, et cetera, it's going to cost them, between $20,000, I guess, and $30,000 is what we're being told.
So we can't take that out of the,
We can't use the redesign out of the Sandiac money.
Okay.
That's got to be the parish money. But, we've already spent $500,000, $600,000 on that project. If we budget another $25,000 or whatever to do the redesign, we're going to get a $6 million project out of an additional $25,000.
and generate revenue.
And generate revenue, which would probably be self-maintained. Is that, so Charlie, that's the answer to your question.
I just have one last comment to carry on what Mr. Juno was saying. If you go to some of these other areas, whether it be St. Tammany, Jefferson, I don't know if St. Bernard has it, but their recreation programs are funded through their recreation taxing district. So, I think I just heard a lot of comments from this council. That's something we should look at next year, going into 2018, and put it to the vote of the people. If they want a good running, nice facility, they'll vote for it. If not, we can have all these naysayers be quiet. I mean,
Parish-wide program.
absolutely, parish-wide.
I mean, it's unbelievable, how all this black stuff is coming up in the playgrounds now, and then I've gotten 2 different, quotes as far as the price. One was $25 a square foot. The other one is 15 to 20 a square foot. And, I don't know, I mean, I look around, I look at that material that's down there, I feel like, 14 square foot, I resigned and I'll be contracting out for oyster sacks and pour mulch on top.
Is that what you asked me for today?
Is that what y'all approving?
You asked for it, I'll give you oyster sacks and you can.
So you good with your budget? You good with everything, as is?
Man, no, well, I'm kind of disappointed with it.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, I came in last year in June, I only had a half a year. And, I only had 1 sport, everything else was finishing up. And then, the thing about it is, on the top of on the proposed budget, down here at on the bottom, I've ended up with, let's see, this is where I want to wait till I grab the money out. The operating budget, 263,000, but 50,000 of that is the grant money that's going toward Mr. John and across the road. So then I got 214,000, and I know I didn't have enough money to bill all the money y'all gave me, but I'm just not one of these guys that goes around looking how to spend more money. I mean, that's the big elephant on my budget, me having, a surplus. And, some of the things, I'm just now getting started and getting rolling. And I wanted to ask y'all for one thing. I wanted to ask for, and it came up, I went through all the proper channels, $35,000 in overtime for my and $35,000, okay? Y'all gonna say, oh man, that's a lot of overtime. Think about this, I got 5 people working in Belchers, okay? 3 across the road. One year, y'all hire one more person, okay? You do the payroll taxes, and then next thing you do your workman's comp, okay? You're already over that amount. And we have coming up right now, looking at the face, and I mean, it's a very, very dark end of the tunnel that I'm looking into with basketball and with soccer. And soccer last year, we had 31 game days and 88 games. That's during the week. 88 games. That's during the week now. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And somebody has to be out there for those games. And at the same time, simultaneously, I had basketball. Okay? We have to have somebody in the facility during basketball practice, from the beginning of practice till the end of practice, and lock in that door at the facility. And I mean, it's hard to do when you're, trying to, play with people's time and everything. Another thing, we had 100 games of basketball. So in the 3-month period, we had 188 games where we got probably close to 200-300 kids off the streets doing healthy things and taking place. I don't think, and in the 35,000, I just got the record of, I just got today, that took place before I got here. I just got today, the baseball schedule, the football master schedule, and everything else like that. And then, I've got guys that, people students to help this.
Speaking of overtime, I'll make this really brief and I'll be quiet. Why does your department have to take comp time versus overtime where other departments actually get paid overtime?
I have no idea.
Because I'm getting asked that a lot by some of your employees.
I'm being asked that every day, and I'm asking myself every day. In this last little part of the year right here, I think they put overtime into my, from what I was told, it was misused earlier in the year or something, and they got cut off, and then they were using comp time. I got a record of the comp time. It's scary.
I just don't think it's fair for your department to be sending it out to use comp time when other departments are actually receiving paid overtime.
And then all of a sudden we get paid, I'm twisting people's arms and begging them, come on man, take comp time. They gotta volunteer to take comp time. And then, what ends up happening, I can't. Okay, Mr. Black.
I just have one question, and this may be illegal, I'm not sure this would be directed to you. As far as the basketball practices, why is an individual employed from recreation, or are they required to attend and be there while the kids are practicing? They're not there for football practices, they're not there for baseball practices. Why are they?
Well, we'll take Belchers for instance. They just got a brand new floor, okay? But then, once they get the brand new floor, okay, blue Powerade, red Gatorade, everything else stains the floor. So the floors, they brand new baby, okay? They don't want nothing happening. And then I was told one time that, sometimes, I don't know, somebody had a heart attack or something in there that was never locked or whatever, I don't know.
I'm just wondering, why is a recreation employee required to be there during these practices if we utilize?
Because the school system, we're utilizing the school system.
That's what I was going to go to, the school system.
We're utilizing the school system's place. And I was a school teacher I mean, and I was in the gym for quite some time.
So is that part of the CDA?
The-
Do we have, I mean, or they just understood?
No, I'll go there and, you know, we're gonna give you a key. And I'm like, we're gonna be here the whole time. Oh, yeah, you're gonna be here from the time you walk in until the time they walk
Okay, that was
out.
my, I mean, I can understand opening and locking up, but, okay.
And listen,
Councilman Slant? All right, thank you, Mr. Williams, first.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance on line 528.610, maintenance, buildings and grounds. The 2017 actual is only $324. We budgeted $120,000, and we're reducing it now to $75,000. What's the deal with that? Can you just, I'm asking finance.
I have no idea why the money hasn't been spent, and I don't really know what, I guess it's just for regular maintenance of the grounds.
All right.
Let me go into details in the back and see if it's in one particular division or not.
All right, if it hasn't been spent,
It's in general.
I'm not saying cut the funds, I'm saying take the $75,000, instead of having $75,000 on that, he needs $35,000 more for overtime. I would move $35,000 out of that into the overtime line. That would give him the $35,000 he needs for overtime, or actually, whatever it would be. And then the other $40,000 for maintenance, buildings and grounds, I would recommend, we have 4 basketball courts at the pavilion that are not being utilized because of the surface. We've discussed this, we had companies come in to give quotes on actual roll-out rubberized surfaces that are very easy to roll in, roll out, and I think the cost will be well into that. I would utilize that for those funds to do that. That alleviates one of the problems you have with a lot of athletic facilities, and I mean, it's very simple. They actually have the painting of the basketball floor on it. You just have a template lined up on the concrete, and you roll it out, and when you're done, you roll it up, and you put it on the side.
I mean, how many basketball goals are back there? That would be.
There's 4 full-size courts
That's
with
fantastic.
adjustable.
And then on the sides, and then, I mean, they're all over the place.
I mean, you're supposed to be running that facility, so.
Right. I'm just never sat there and counted the basketball, because when I first came in, they told me not to let the kids play basketball there because of some kids slipped and got hurt in the past.
Well, this rubberized court, it's
That's the first I heard of that, and I think that's a fantastic idea.
Okay, well, I would make an amendment to take that $75,000. How much you need for overtime total for a year?
Right now, I'm saying 35.
Well, move whatever that is to the overtime. I'll make an amendment to move that into the overtime budget, give him us $35,000 for overtime. Take the remainder. I would encourage you to look into those surfaces. And you may have machines available. It may be a hand dolly or something, I don't know. Just look at that, please.
Probably even leave it out during the season, I mean.
Yeah, right. We don't utilize it anyway.
Utilize it during the winter.
Ms. Williams?
As far as your employees maintaining grass in areas that aren't park related, I know they cut around buildings and things of that nature, and I'm not sure, it's my understanding that that's a duty that Prone used to handle. So I know recreation is probably short of employees as well, but is there any way that Reverend Giles, well, it's not your department, but is there any way that maybe y'all can work with Prone and to utilize other employees to, I know on the southern end, they maintain around the bridge, the Empire Bridge, and the government building, and things of that nature. Is that putting a burden on overtime for your employees, or
No, what's putting up
is the practices and things of that nature just having to do with
practices,
overtime?
game. I mean, you're talking about baseball at Cypress Park. I mean, there's people there 6 days a week. I mean, this is Monday through Saturday. And I'm talking about a lot. And I mean, I'm being, that 35,000, I'm being pretty frugal as far as my overtime goes.
Okay.
You know, and, but I'll tell you one thing, at the end of the year, they were crawling out of woodwork to work them games once we had our little $5,000 worth of overtime put in. All of a sudden, I had people, I didn't even know I worked for them.
But let me get the comment here. We're gonna do the fire department, and that's what we get for today. So the rest of you who want to leave, they'll leave. But we're gonna get the fire department after Mr. Allen finishes, and that's gonna be it for today.
Well, you want to dive into the,
Okay, Mr. Roger, you good?
whatever you want to do.
well, we know, we're talking about the swimming pool. We need to talk about the swimming pool and they, okay? It looks like the water settled. I mean, we had a problem and then you go out there and the water is all circled around the pool. I mean, and, you know, there's a mark on it and it lost 6 inches, but it seems like the water settled right below the skimmers. And, Mr. Furnish had got in touch with one fellow, and, you know, he told me that, you know, I mean, this is just one. And he's talking about, you know, the repair was broken, you know, maybe 50,000, 150,000 replaces all pipes. And I had another quote from the company that fixed it a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. Say fixed it, but you know, they have on there 50, I think 53,000, 29,000. So I offered up 100,000 out of my budget, you know, to see if we could get somebody to come in there and actually do this. And they talked about actually building a pool within a pool, which is going to be a lot of money, okay? And they talked about, you know, going in there and just finding a replacement and, I mean, finding and replacing the breaks and the leaks. And the thing about it is, one, you first got to hire a leak detection company. And I called about 30 of them probably. And we got 2 or 3 of them that will come out. And then they got to go and they do 3,000 miles probably. And then they got to contact whoever actually goes in and builds and does the pool. Okay? And you know, I'm offering up to 100,000 for that. And you know, I don't know what y'all think of. Y'all have any questions? You know, the pool shifts, half inch or a little bit more in the crack pipe. And I mean, thank goodness, this past month they gave us a break in our water bill.
Well, the other thing I can suggest is we find out exactly what's wrong with it.
Right.
Before you can do anything, we have to identify the problem.
Now, we have
Some
some,
cities do that the same thing happened before, or we spent that money to get it fixed. And it was the skimming areas that were supposed to be repaired. But evidently that didn't happen to the satisfaction that it needed to happen. But I'm not a pool expert, so I really don't know. So you have to get someone who really knows what they're doing to advise us. So what it is the problem?
all right,
Then we can go from there.
that's what we're trying to go, that's what we're trying to do right now. And, you know, you know, I have another problem with, you know, I have, today we have 2 broken trucks total, okay? My trucks are from 2007, 200-something thousand miles, some of them 175, the SUV, you know, the red department SUV. And a couple of times I asked about trucks, but I mean, maybe in the first 6 months. You know, I don't know, I was advised to, hey, keep some money in there, you never know what's gonna happen. And, but I ordered a couple of trailers and, hold tractors, car, 3 lawnmowers, and I don't have any F-350s. I've got 2 that could actually pull these trailers. And then, we've got quite a few trucks that have been put out of commission or are no more good, we're using them for parts and everything.
Mr. Houghton, I saw an 18-wheeler loading up lawnmowers this morning over by your shop. What was that about?
That's, that's purchasing coming by to pick that up for an auction.
So none of those pieces of equipment were worth salvaging?
The ones that we could salvage, we salvage.
And how many are you selling?
I don't know how many it is, Mr. Russo, I had a piece of paper, somewhere, but I mean, they quite a bit, but, you know, I wouldn't recommend, pull you off.
It's a constant question that we ask whenever someone is disposing of public equipment.
Yeah, I mean, they go in there, get that forklift and you lift it up and then.
Right, we saw that.
Run breaks in half.
Right, we saw that.
You know, and that stuff was sitting back there long before I came. Woods, I don't remember.
Mr. Houghton, is there anything else we can do for you in the budget? We already got an amendment for overtime, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Not, thank you.
I'm so sorry, I have one more question.
Money to buy a couple of trucks.
So, Mr. Cross?
Sure. Do you have a scheduled move date to move back to Golden 600?
You know, sir, I thought we were gonna be able to stay by the, front, up there, I mean, I talked to Reverend Giles about it, we were gonna stay up there front, close to the pool, close to the fields up there. I mean, we have a resolution that was passed, Mr. Russo offered that resolution, we passed it, that was also part of the mandamus. I'm just asking, if, Mr. Giles, if that's going to change, if so, I think it needs to go back to Mr. Russo to amend the resolution, otherwise we need to enforce it.
Yeah, because it was before you came here.
You know, the thing about it is, here's our fields, and then here's our offices across the street. Why? You know, I mean, I don't understand why we would want to move way all the way to the back.
I can tell you why, because those offices are dilapidated and they're in terrible condition, and that's something that I think that the public, you know, needs to be out of. We have a brand new, beautiful building in Building 600 with a lot of space, conference room space, so you can have training for your coaches, etc. So that's a debate we had amongst this council, and the resolution passed 9-0. So I guess the question is, are they going to move?
That's the whole civil service bill?
Yes, sir. Yes. Right by the basketball rules.
Right.
Where do you live, Mr. Houghton?
I'm sorry?
You live in Beers?
Yes.
Not that far, it's just right back here.
Close though, when you get on that little bump.
Mr. Giles, they need funding to move.
Let me share what happened. I spoke to Mr. Roger, and we talked about it. He felt comfortable being at his present location. This year with him that he had initiated that he moved, and we're going to take the conference room and make it fit for him, because we did put a building as well as sort of we put buildings back there. And so he was comfortable, and he said he felt being close to the park, plus he had all his equipment, his lawnmower, his tractor, and everything out front. So that's where he was comfortable being. So that's why we never initiated a move on that. But that was the only reason.
What I need to find my man, I'll walk around and, search for them.
All right, well, your main job is to engage with the public.
Exactly.
So.
And we're right there
That's
on
what
the street out
Right,
here.
well, if this is a government complex, I would ask Mr. Giles, I might ask him another favor. Take $5,000 from the the other line item and move it to a move budget. I think $5,000 would be enough for them to move.
Yeah, it's all in the same section, so you can spend it out of there, you know?
Okay, so there we go. Please move, to 600.
So really, I need to move way back there?
It's about, I don't know, maybe 200 yards from here.
I know how far it's back, but,
The administrative staff, I mean, this was the...
Yeah, it's hidden Zelda. Yeah, I mean, you have an office, she can sit in the middle, you can sit in your private office, and you have the whole conference section, for coaches and everything else.
but, I mean, my workers, you know,
Mr. Howard, with all due respect, the council voted 9-0. We have our mandamus in front of the judge. That's part of the whole thing, compromise. We're asking you, we budgeted the money. Same thing as the other stuff. Please move, that's all.
How much, Roger, how many hours a day you sit in the office? Don't think too hard, just an idea.
I don't know, I got two offices, one upstairs where I can be, where nobody can hear me. And then,
Don't say no more, let me move on, thank you.
and then,
You're out
and
and
then,
about though more than you're in the office.
you know, ma'am,
You're out and about more than you're in the office, you probably
At
have to look
times.
at.
but most of the time, you know, I'm on the phone and then, you know, you got that downstairs office, you got people that come in, to work, if they come in, they hear a little bit and it's just.
There you go, private office.
Mr. President, come in.
Mr. Director of Health, and I just want to thank you for the job you're trying to do. And as this council knows, once again, your budget was greatly depleted. In 2009, there were 33 employees working for recreation, and I think we're down to, 13 or 11? And so I certainly do sympathize with you, because with the complaints that are heard about recreation, it makes no sense. It makes the logistical nightmare to move the equipment, to move your office further away from the fields here at Cypress Park. It's another instance of micromanaging that's unnecessary, but I do commend you for the work you're doing, and I commend you that I realize that your budget's been good, but please continue to do the best you can with what you have.
And, well, thank you very much, and I would like, you know, to, also, you know, find out, you know, we all gonna be able to get some overtime in there.
I gave him 35,000.
That's for 2018, right?
I mean, thank you so much.
Thank you, Roger.
And then another thing, what about our trucks?
Thank you, Roger, for coming.
No trucks, have they?
Your budget was cut by 72,000.
I know.
That's tractor, my bad.
It was cut by 120, 130,000.
Well, this council didn't cut it, just for clarification, it came from the administration.
Right. And then, you know,
You have any comments about the swimming pools?
do I have any comments about this?
On the budget, from the budget. Yeah.
Well,
Line item, page 57.
on the line item, salary and wages at 27,800, and, I mean, that's quite a bit, a lot more than it was last year. But, you know, we didn't open up till late last year. And, you know,
But
as
you
far
increased
as,
by 35,000, 35%. So they gave you more money than you had this year. So you're faring out pretty good there.
right. And then, let's see, utilities, maintenance of property, professional services.
Is this the first time you've seen your budget?
No, but I didn't get a chance to practice because I'm supposed to be up at 9 in the morning.
You get plenty of time to practice. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think you should have a problem with that.
No.
What about page 58, tennis court? $320, sorry with that?
The tennis courts, I mean, I don't know, I mean, Mr. Russo saw that, they go back there and they bash, they got a backboard, they bash it, and then we gotta get it fixed, and we gotta get some ballast and the lights fixed, but that's where I actually had a compliment. And I mean, I think I'm gonna have the words engraved or something.
Yeah, athletic fields. What about next page, page 59 on athletic fields?
Now, the athletic fields, we got a problem right here, okay?
All right.
The problem is, they started with the athletic fields in the back there. They dumped mud, and they were bulldozing the mud, to smooth and level the mud out. Well, now we can't go all the way to the back because there's hills and bumps all over the place where my guys have to take those zero-turn lawnmowers.
What are you talking?
Back behind the other field back.
Oh, David, okay.
Heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, heavy equipment, they started, and I asked Dave about it, and he said that, I was notified last week, David told me, he said, heavy equipment went back there, and they started it, somebody went back there and started to dump a bunch of mud halfway through they finished, so they could only get halfway to the back. And we wanted to know whether heavy equipment could go back there and finish the job.
Mr. Fellows is going to take care of that, to the heavy equipment.
Okay. And then, that would be great. Anything else here?
What else? My parts and monuments.
Parks and monuments.
Okay, 60.
What would this entail, Parks and Monuments? Is that metal line?
Yeah, let's go, we can go in the back. I'll get the page number for you.
I'm just asking, what makes up the category of Parks and Monuments?
Yes,
Fort Jackson and...
Fort Jackson, several different parks, yeah.
Revere flagpole, Dutchess flagpole.
Okay.
Yeah. Get the flagpoles, Dave Van Athletic Field, Alpha Memorial, Leroy Harvey Park.
Who are the salaries and wages for?
What's that?
Two grass cutters on the Fort Jackson.
Yeah.
So there are two, when they got grass?
They actually with my crew up there.
Oh, it's part of your recreation, that's what I'm
I
asking.
know one of them is for sure.
That's what Alvin used to do. Alvin was doing, Mr. Alvin?
Right, they're in Fort Jackson, I mean, that's where they're, soldiers. Fort Jackson.
Who are the employees, do you know?
Lawrence PK and Angie Jason.
And then one of them works in the Bureau crew, and one of them works in Balchase.
Okay, I just wondered. So that's part of your employees that you have as kind of additional employees?
Okay.
I was thinking it was two additional employees. Thank you, Mr. Alvin.
You're welcome.
So we want to
Could I talk about a couple other things? I mean, y'all call me back in, I'm way,
yeah, we passed our time.
if I could find what I'm talking about. I might just wait or catch y'all next year.
Sounds good.
If I can't get it,
Roger, why don't you look for it and come back to Bart?
Oh, okay, hang on there. Lights at Cypress Park, we need a bucket truck. Okay, it's big enough to be able to go handle those lights at Cypress Park. parishes, bucket trucks not high enough. Okay, this is kind of capital outlay stuff. Timers and lights being left on the field at night. Electrical switch timer on the water park, the Gifts, we had a $30,000 water bill there. Okay, raised cement, multiple bleachers, standing water is under where people sit on many of the bleachers. The subsurface is coming up, we talked about that, and I'll let y'all go now. And I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. That's right.
Thank you, Rob.
Just real quick, if I may, make a motion request, increase in salary for Director Health.
What's his current salary, Tom?
$36,000.
How much?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think, we increased the other directors.
It wasn't proposed as an increase?
No, it wasn't.
No, I mean, the 3% labor.
38,040.
What is it?
36,000.
If you take 4,000 out of 35 from the overtime, and make it even 40, I have no problem with that. If somebody wants to, is everybody else fine with that?
Oh, good, I do it. Put it on.
I say you get back to at least the minimum of what the last, not Rick, but prior superintendent, which I think was like 56. Fair.
I heard it was more than that.
So,
Be careful.
40, maybe 60.
That's his amendment, that's not mine.
Be on me.
We have $1,000 to go, Justin.
It's almost 50 something.
Man, don't be making
Rick was making like 60 something, I think Corey was like 56.
Or the superintendent.
Almost 40%.
Service.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Rochelle?
I'd say 25%.
Mr. John, Deb just informed me that, Joey Horn with the ferries not even able to be here tomorrow, so I don't know if you want to try to take it up today or.
That's fine. I don't think we're going to have that much to discuss, Roy. You got issues?
Roy could take a little while. Okay.
You're gonna get around.
They got all named my salary.
We don't know, Rob.
Yeah, that's gonna be back in about 2 days from now, probably.
All right, do y'all have issues with Mr. Rochelle? Have the discussion on items in his budget? If not, Mr. Ferry people in here, so put you back.
What page?
Ferry part. You gonna get the ferry mark?
Money, only money. You gotta have people to go get it.
Okay, all the time, let's get there all the time.
You have to keep it all the time. Yeah, keep it. That's why I'm going.
County, what page?
I gotta work counting tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's why I'm going.
It's supposed to be 2 weeks ago.
There's no anybody here.
All right, what page?
67.
Page 67. Any questions from the table? Any questions from the table? Administration?
The only thing I see that,
Go ahead.
is under, maintenance for both, that's, 52813.
You got 326,000 in there.
Well, they cut about 250,000. Then, we'll spend that if something major happens, but we spent it this year. It doesn't show it because the, I guess the budget went in before we spent it.
How much you spent?
We spent all of it on the product. And with the high rivers, you never know, and that's the way I give up. So we never high river. I mean, we spent a lot of it because we had to do a lot of changing the structure on the boat, because that's what Coast Guard wanted.
Right, to do you see that happening again this year?
With high revenue, I don't know. Hopefully, we don't have to do any more structural work on those. We have another operation test coming Monday.
You got a large invoice outstanding to be paid right now?
Is there money funded for that invoice?
Yeah, the money's funded for it, but
Right. But what you're saying is they had a structural change this year that might not happen for another 10 years.
Right. I just wanted to know that, if you look at his actuals, he does have some stuff to be paid, large.
I was looking at.
So you won't have enough to finish the year?
Yeah, he should have enough to pay, yeah.
Joey, what are you showing on personnel right now?
That's, we in the process of hiring 2 more deckhands, we just hired 2, we just hired a captain, we're in the process of hiring 2 more captains, that'll give me all the captains. But I'll still be down, I think, 4 deckhands.
Even with the 2 you just hired?
I'm fixing to hire, even with the 2 I just hired, and the 2 I'm in the process of hiring.
And do you have advertisements out for the others?
They're not funded.
They're not funded.
The other 4 is not funded. The other 4 is funded already.
So you have 2 now in training.
Yeah, I have 2 training, yeah, they just started. And I have 2 that's in progress, I think the paperwork, Mr. Cormier, or was heading that way. And we just hired for another captain to be hired, and I have another captain in the process.
So how many captains do you need all total to operate your department?
The opera, just the ferries is 6. And I have 2.
So there's 2 ships and 1 officer.
That's 3 ships.
Yeah, we count the 1 that's off.
Yeah, 1 off.
And Joey, one more question. Been here all day, I guess I'm going now, but the gentleman has been asking about the big ferry. Any update on the big ferry?
That's what we were talking about. Hopefully Monday.
I mean, he answers everyone, but I mean, maybe I give the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I have plans with the Coast Guard, the shipyard, and the company that's going to do the operation test for Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anybody see Anthony or Tony, tell him Monday, okay?
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be in my tomorrow. I have, after I get it back, Coast Guard, that's expected to be about a week before we put it in service.
Mr. Rousseau, we had some discussion this morning about monitoring for the Coast Guard at ferry landings. The court said they were monitoring that now.
Right, they can.
And so they're basically monitoring from what location that you know of?
They monitor from where Port Florida boat is docked in that trailer. They have a monitor there, and we have a monitor in our office. And the secretary watches it during the day she's there. Weekends, holidays, after hours she's not there.
And they monitor the other times?
Right. And that's something the Coast Guard came up with that we were supposed to be doing for years that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And they came back and told us we have to. It's either that or for security guards. If you do that, that's a lot of...
Security guards?
Yeah, when he signed the red,
So as far as you know, they've accepted the monitoring?
Right, they accepted the monitoring, yes.
There's no indecision being...
No, they approved us monitoring the way we monitor with the cameras.
Can we put fees for our ferries at the
When it's
yeah.
Yes.
So we pay fees now?
No, it's done.
I know it's done.
Well, sit there, no.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying.
No.
A lot of people have, hey, that long as ferries do, we got to do it.
No, we don't pay. We were having problems with trying to get a crew to get there.
Yeah, I
So
see.
the second time, this past time, that it went back, we brought it back and they had to go back to their fault. So they had to do all the repairs.
At no cost?
At no cost.
Good job on that. Appreciate it.
Problem.
Any other comments? Fair? Thank you, sir.
Just want to know about putting the money back, that's,
How much you need?
well, I want to try to put it all, but I mean, if we get whatever we get.
Well, how about if you can hold it to maybe first quarter, if we need to?
Yeah, I mean, I come back anytime if we do
I
have
think
to
it's
go to the shipyard.
money down the road.
Yeah, if I happen to go to the shipyard and we do have to do work and I have to come back and say, look, this is what it's gonna cost us. then-
Okay, let's do that. We don't mind.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem, okay.
Appreciate it. Y'all live with Mr. Little Show? Are y'all want to eat lunch? Right? Come on, Mr. Little Show, have a show with anything this afternoon. What page?
Well, I think we need to discuss first the revenues. Well, we got him here. So let's go to the revenues. page 13.
Well, I was great.
White. Under the green revenue tab.
What page?
Yes, sir.
What page you have?
Page 13.
Page 13. All right, let's have the
I think the issue that we need to discuss is the ambulance fees. Roy and I discussed this earlier. For 2017 and 2018. The budget for 2017 and 2018 are $1.1 million each. So far this year we've collected, I think I ran the things right over $200,000. So we're definitely going to have a budget issue there, unless we make a lot of collections in the last month, because these revenues are based on collections, not billing.
In looking at the bill, and the revenue is down, after Robin died, and being short-handed with supervisors, some of the billing got pushed back, and it's been hard to get it caught back up, but we're working in it now. We have the supervisors, with the exception of Robin's replacement, the EMS supervisor, but I have the other fire supervisors, and they're working to help us put it all back together to get the people doing the collections. If Tom is right, the collections is not what it should be. If billing has been better than what the collections are, and we pay more attention to it to try to get it caught up. But it is down.
No, actually, the chief just answered my question.
Mr. Black?
Didn't we discuss at a council meeting a while ago, hiring a firm to come in and do the billings and collections, and they estimated a very high increase in revenues?
My proposal was that we hire somebody. After that council meeting, I found out that we already paid somebody to do it, and I'm having problems getting a handle on what we're actually paying for. But I'm working on that now, and if we can't get it better than what it is, then I'm going to be asking to move it to someplace that will.
Why don't we just move it now? I mean, if you're having a problem with it, you have to.
I can't tell what the problem is, Councilman Black. I don't know if it's us or them. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it's in the parish employees' problems inside the fire department. I'm trying to get it straightened out, and now that I have the help, I'm working on it every day. I would ask for a little bit more time so we can try to figure out what is going on, and the collections got to get better, or we need to get new people doing it.
I just thought the whole company was taking over the entire process.
We got it so complicated right now that we do part of the billing and puts off, we do part of the billing and vouchers, and then we send it out to somebody else to mail the bills. Okay? And then the receivables are coming into the EMS office instead of going directly to the parish, which we're trying to get a handle on that. I'll take the blame for it because I'm the boss, but we've got to do a better job than we're doing, and it's just too hard to get a handle on how confusing it is right now. And that's what I've been working on every day.
Any other comments from the table? So what is the recommendation on reducing the revenues? Let's go with that right now,
We're
right?
at $1.1 million right now. I mean, what do you think, Roy? I mean,
We believe it's going to be around 800,000 is what we believe that the collectibles will be. And I'm hoping to have that by the end of the year, but I don't know whether it'll come in that fast or not.
yeah, I mean, that's a lot to get in one more.
The end of 2018.
2017 I'm talking about, so I'm just, we're gonna have an ordinance on this, that's why I just wanted to bring it up, we're gonna see it.
I think we need to, at best, we'll be getting the same as we got in 2016, 500.
Yeah, if we go down to 500,000, then we need to reduce $600,000.
And I'm saying 800 because within the last 3 weeks, our billing was at 800. So if we get paid within 30 days or 45 days, we should be at 800. But again,
that'll be a little.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, because like I said, this is based on collection, so we gotta have the money in the bank by the 31st.
No, that doesn't mean we're gonna pay it.
So, if you look at your screen, I did a little spreadsheet I threw together. What his proposed budget is unreserved, undesignated right now is $1,681,520 in the firefighting fund. It will reduce the ambulance fee by $600,000. In 2017, his beginning balance for 2018 is gonna go down by $600,000. That'll give him a fund balance of $1,081,000. We also gotta discuss, do we wanna reduce the revenues for 2018, or you think we wanna leave it the same?
I think we'll leave it the same.
Okay, well, I mean,
You mean 1.1 million?
Yes, sir.
if there wasn't fee increase, I mean, we just not seeing that.
If he just billed 800,000 in the last couple of weeks.
Come on.
We had the fee increase and we haven't seen much of that yet. And that's why we're thinking that it'll be at the 1.1.
But the problem is not the projection numbers or the projected numbers. The problem is actually collecting it. You know, so I mean, I agree with the chief to say keep it as it is.
He's gonna find
And just get somebody to do the job and get it collected. I'm not saying you, chief, but a consultant or a company who does this and guarantees a, you know.
We can leave it in $1,000,001 and then just look at it in mid-year and then see what, see what.
Right, but that's for 2018. I think we're risking it for 2017.
No, you
Oh,
guys.
17, I think
We got a shortfall.
Yeah, I think for sure we're reducing it.
Tommy said to reduce it by 600.
Yeah, I think. But it's 17 and then 18, leave it as $1,000,001. And then we would revisit it in 18 to see, how the collections are. So I could basically take that off. Also reduced 134 for the interagency fee, so that will leave us fund balance at 946 for 2018. Now, he did have all the vacancies taken out, also to be able to balance revenues and expenses for 2018. We took out all vacant positions.
We have 21 vacancies.
We definitely have to refund one vacancy though, the training officer.
I thought we did that when we did
We did for this year, but not for next year. In the budget proposal, it wasn't in there.
Why not?
Y'all haven't voted on it yet because it happened after we put the budget together.
What's that, 80,000 total? You don't have to look it up, Michelle.
You gotta remember.
We'll just put it down.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments? Not on the table?
No, we encourage you to work with the court.
That wasn't happy when we left at lunchtime.
No, but we gotta work together.
I agree. We do work together in the field. And I think we will.
I think we'll have a choice. Administration, any comments? Ron, I'm sure you have any other comments?
No, so.
Thank you, sir. You have a great evening. With that in mind, we'll recess. Unless you have something else you want to talk about? Oh, let's go to the audit. Right here. Internal audit, let's clear that. Internal audit.
The what?
Internal
Internal
audit.
audit. That'll be the last audit.
He's actually following the agenda.
Coastal zone, actually, we had it tomorrow.
Big boy?
We didn't do coastal zone yet.
Tomorrow.
We're coming back.
Yeah, I thought we did internal audit.
Now that the amendment.
Yeah, we did it.
Done.
We did those.
Have Mr. Benson Pettis to get a garage, get this department.
I spoke with Mr. Vince a little while ago. He's still having some back issues, but he's going to try to come.
Well, I have a bridge, I have, should come up. All right, we're gonna stay in recess, what time is it? We're recess at 5:25 today. We'll start up at 9.